Hello, sumo fans.
We are back.
Man, it feels like, when you help your friends move, that it's fulfilling, but you are so exhausted.
Yes.
That is what the Meibasho show feels like to me. It is there was so much that happened, and I sprained my knee on something, helping it, so I'm a little sore, I'm a little tired, but it's like I'm exhausted, but I wasn't the guy doing everything.
Exactly.
But it's still just as fulfilling because of just how much good came out of this.
Well, we've gotten to the point where you're sitting on the couch eating the pizza
Yes.
that everybody earned from loading the boxes.
This is the pizza and soda moment.
Yes.
Afterwards, where it's like, oh my goodness, everything's done. We did so much happened.
But yet everyone is super quiet, and we have to be the ones who actually talk about what happened.
So we will gather ourselves together for a couple more hours and just talk about all the stuff that happened.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. So a few orders of business before we start. First and foremost, we are now officially going to be plugging Sumo Prime Time. There was a live stream that Hiro Morita ran, and during the live stream, he answered a lot of very important questions. And he had mentioned that he has a personal goal, or the NHK has a goal for him, or however it works out, that they want more. They want to try to get as many followers as they can. They want to sort of build the channel. And I personally love what Sumo Prime Time is doing. It's an outreach. We're getting a lot of content from the Sumo Association. They're acknowledging the overseas audience, and that was always something that we would want. So I would guess that the vast majority of people who are already listening to us are well aware of Sumo Prime Time as are the many other resources out there. But just the same, thank you for listening to us. And if you have a little bit more time in your day, also go to Sumo Prime Time.
Yeah, in particular, the translating of interviews is really great there. It's tough to watch the NHK feed, and there's a, live translation as they're doing the Yokozuna speech. It's better if somebody puts some subtitles up later on, because A, we can hear them speak in native Japanese, and B, people have had time to really, say what is being said. A couple notes about that live stream is he talked about a 50,000 subscriber goal at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing if you read between the lines, he has to prove something to the JSA.
There's a bit of business annual goals going on there.
It's like, if you get 50,000, then we'll give you the next thing you're asking for.
Yeah.
So I could be wrong, but that's what I'm reading into it. I've noticed they've gained about 1,000 subscribers since that live stream, maybe a little bit more. So we'll see what happens. But the other thing he talked about that was very exciting is he himself, according to that live stream, has been telling them that we need to broadcast the whole 15 days for the international audience. He actually said he knows everybody wants that. He's been speaking to them about it. He did not say what their response was.
Yeah, I get the feeling that just logistically, if everybody was on board, first you'd have to clear it with the Japan Sumo Association, then you need to clear it with NHK, then there's all of the infrastructure that needs to be done, and then the various contracts and agreements and publishing rights and legal who knows what. Even if this was going to be easygoing, I can see this taking a while.
Yeah, and so, hopefully this is all a very positive thing, and hopefully everybody just sorts of comes together in the sumo community. We would really like a branch between, the foreign countries and Japan, instead of just, being on the outside all the time. So we'll see. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, but these are good things, and I'm going to guess that if we just keep our tabs on Hiro's work, that we'll get to hear more. He also said that some of his future live stream are going to involve Rikishi and Oyakata that are popular, and
which would be super cool.
I'm just thinking, if we can hold on long enough for him to get some really fun people in there, then that's worth watching alone.
Well, and especially when the guys retire and then he does segments. I mean, we've already had some awesome Kaisei moments.
Oh, yes.
And the international fans love Kaisei, I hear. And actually, they brought up Kiseyama on the live stream. He's like, there are so many foreign fans that like a Kiseyama, and he appreciates it. So
yes.
I thought you might like that, John.
I did.
I actually watched the entire thing, participated. It was pretty cool. But speaking of live streams, one thing I noticed with Hiro is something that I can totally understand was So he's doing his first live stream ever, and he's probably got at least a couple hundred people who are chatting and a couple thousand that were watching. And he doesn't even know about super chats. So people are making comments and donating money. He has no idea that's coming in. He's got his own paper in front of him where he's supposed to be talking about certain things, but the chat is going wild. And he's only able to read like once in a while. And you can see his mind is like, And it just got to a point where, you know, he ended when he had to end. And the very next day, he had an apology video. He did a whole video apologizing for not knowing how to handle the chat. So with that being said, I can understand that. You know, doing live streams with the chat is very, very difficult. Some of it has to do with how your mind works. Like if you're on a train of thought and you're talking about a topic and then you read a comment that's with that topic and then more comments come in and you actually have to go back and read those comments. And sometimes you forget or sometimes you get sidetracked. It's challenging. It's very challenging. But at the end of the day, you know, we're doing our best here. We really appreciate everybody who comes to the live streams. We really appreciate the fun and the enthusiasm and the amazing conversations that come out. But bear with us a little bit because it's a little bit like the Wild Wild West. You have no idea what comments are coming in. You have no idea who's coming in. And it's challenging. You know, it'd be best sometimes maybe to, you know, take some time to read the chat before reading it out loud. However, there are many, many people who listen to the podcast or watch it after the live stream and don't read the chat. So having long periods of silence is also not good. So there's a little bit of a gymnastics thing that has to happen. And I think by July, we have some new ideas. We're going to do some of the old ideas and, you know, keep certain things in mind to keep the chat fun, keep the live streams fun, because I have heard feedback that the live streams are appreciated.
Yeah, keep in mind for us, and I personally also watch the live streams after the fact, sort of kick myself. I'm typically not available when Maria is for these. I'm sorry that I'm not able to make them out to them, but I love tuning back in after the fact, hearing Maria's takes, and it's sort of fun for me because typically Maria and I, like, we'll be exchanging our information like constantly, but like with the live stream, it's a chance for me to sort of like hear Maria's stuff before I get a chance to get in on it. So I feel like it's sort of exciting because I'm hearing it along with the rest of you. But sort of like for us, we're just people. We're having fun. We want to share our enjoyment with sumo. We're not making money off this. We're not a professional site. I don't think we'd want to make money off of this.
No, I don't think
we're
so.
Not like this is a hobby, not a job.
As soon as it becomes a job, you know, it's too difficult, you know?
I'll tell you what, if there's an email in the 42 Opinions mailbox from Hiro Morita saying that he wants to do an international outreach, we'll have that conversation.
That's a different topic.
Okay. This isn't ironclad. We're not making this no money, but it just, yeah. So please keep this in mind. We're sorry if we say things or do things that, you know, we're just airheaded or whatever, but, we're working on it. We're trying to make a place that everybody can come and hang out and just have fun. Yeah,
and we want to meet more people who are sumo fans, you know, and have conversations because, you know, we're on an island here sometimes. You know?
A little bit. So
let's get down to actual sumo business.
Yes. First and foremost, congratulations to
Terunofuji.
And this is we were like marveling at this
beautiful
picture. It's a really good picture. I still feel like Kiribayama got like the salt in this picture. I was just like, come on, guys. This one, this is pristine. They made up for it.
You got the fireworks. You got him looking like Godzilla, and he was a monster this tournament.
Yep. So we will start as we always do. And fortunately, this time around, not only are we not just making a passing reference, but we are talking about our Yusho winner, Terunofuji, who was 14-1. And I did not realize how much I missed Terunofuji.
I know. It's so needed. You need the Yokozuna. You need a dominant Yokozuna.
The just his aura, and like we talk about how the aura is always that imperceptible like projection of power, and how there are some people that we'll be talking about in a little bit that are getting some auras of their own. But like this is legit, grade A. Doesn't just beat you, but makes you look like you don't belong there, kind of an aura.
It's like hitting a brick wall every time you come at him. You actually made a great analogy when we were chatting in between. I'd love for you to throw that out there.
we discuss how, and this was the big test for Terunofuji, is the endurance factor. How are you going to do in the second week? So in the entire first week, he was looking really, really good, but I was sort of going over all the matchups, and Shodai was a solid first match. Abi's always up to no good, but these people here, they're good, but Terunofuji has no business losing to them, and they really shouldn't be putting the pace on them, which is what makes Meisei's win so interesting. We'll get to him in a minute. So it was the second week here. Look at this killer's row. Kotonowaka, Hoshoryu, Wakamotoharu, Asanayama, Kiribayama, right here. So he gets what would be the toughest fights when he's already a week and chains in. His knees are in whatever condition they are, and
those were his best fights.
Those are his best. Those are some of his really.
I mean, he made Asanayama look like a bag of dirt.
He embarrassed him.
I couldn't believe how. I mean, he like what he did to Takakeisho in that one tournament where he won in the playoff. He just slammed him down so hard, like you don't belong here in the ring with me.
Yeah. So the collision, what that does to you, what my analogy was, and this more ties into when you hear about people struggling to get to the top division. Oho had made mention to like the intensity of the Tachiai, that when you're doing this, and this is something that I almost feel like we have to keep reminding ourselves as spectators, you have to, the amount of force, particularly from somebody like Terunofuji and the greats Hakuho, Kakuryu, it's like getting in a car crash every time you get into a Tachiai. That's the amount of force that's going into that smash. Unless you're hanking. But anyway. I know there's a lot of Henka chats in the live stream. It's coming back.
It's coming back.
It's back from the
grave.
It
never leaves.
But Terunofuji weathered all of that. That was the big question. Is he going to be able to handle it on the knees? I mean, there's still tape to hell and back.
And there was some wincing.
There was a little bit of wincing when, after he beat Wakamotoharu, he sort of jumped down, and then there was that look on his face. It's like, oh, boy.
It was like a shock.
It was a shock, and we're like, is he fine? He's fine. And then, and this is super recent, watched Sumo Prime Time this morning and got the translated interview towards your point. He had mentioned that he wants to go over 10 wins. And that's a good sign for me because I know I felt like there was a reasonable concern that he comes back and win or lose, he's gone. Now, obviously, if he came back and he was like 10-5, he's gone.
And that was the elephant in the room because the interviewer actually asked him, like, what are you thinking for, it's like wink, wink. Yeah. Well, what do you think about the future? He's basically asking him that. And he says, it just got over, but I'd like to win more than 10. It's almost like he's giving you his timeline.
Yes.
Should his knees actually hold out. But you can see, and I had put some community posts about this. Terunofuji had the iron will this tournament. Like, I am the Yokozuna. I want the title. And no matter what I have to do, I'll outmuscle these guys. I'll fight through the pain. I'll use the pain as fuel. I'm going to win. I want you to know right now, I'm going to win.
Yeah. And he is top dog. And it's just, he's come back. He's just like, all you kids, you're going to get thrown.
I hope you had fun while I was gone.
Yes. Recess is over. And yes, so we're glad to have him back, and barring other things happening, I do feel like going forward, it'll be a little bit of a holding your breath period every time the Basho comes up. So, first week of July, we're going to be looking, is he coming back? Is he coming back?
Well, because you don't know what'll happen in training either.
God. So we'll be in that phase, but at least we got one more out of him, and it sounds like he's aiming to at least get to 10 or 11, which if he wins out the year, that puts him at a January-March time frame.
Right, and we'll say for this tournament, Terunofuji restored the balance in sumo. The first time we've seen a 14-1 in a very long time. The first time we've seen somebody clinch on day 14 in a very long time. I didn't realize until that day how much I missed just having a free day on day 15 to care about other stuff there.
It was sort of everybody relaxed and had fun. Well,
it's the pizza on the couch again.
Exactly. It's that feeling. So congratulations again to Terunofuji, and he may be the challenge and the fire that sort of helps other people up too.
You need the Yokozuna to fire everybody up.
Exactly. So next up, good news. Takakeisho has cleared Katoban. It was like when I I was hearing you in the live stream talking about Takakeisho, Ozeki West 8 and 7, just barely, and you're just like, you can't even watch the videos anymore.
And I didn't.
I part of me in the back of my mind, I'm just like, should I just send her a warning?
You should from now on.
I think, you know what? Yeah. I will typically be able to get to the matches before you, so I think I should send you a message whenever I can. Going forward, be like, no injuries for Takakeisho today. No injuries for Takakeisho.
You know what? I would really appreciate it if you did that.
I'm gonna do that. I had that thought in my head, and that's what we're gonna do. But yeah, so this is another conversation we're gonna be having right now.
There's a lot
to unpack for Takakeisho. So that 8 and 7 was scraped by. This was not Takakeisho fighting.
Not only was it a scrape by, but we have 2 matches that got him to the 8 that, some people are calling fishy. I don't know if they are or not. But without those 2 guys not being those 2 guys, he doesn't even get the 8.
Correct. So, yeah, it was... For Daieisho specifically, it's definitely... the only people who are going to know whether or not Daieisho gave him the match is Daieisho and Takakeisho. Those are the only 2 people.
Yeah,
all we're going to do is speculate about whether or not Daieisho gave to him, or maybe Daieisho didn't,
just even if it wasn't planned, like just a moment of, man, just a moment of hesitation and the Tachi eye isn't as strong or something.
Yeah, and maybe it was unconscious. Also worth noting that Terunofuji on the last day reaches out to help Takakeisho when he falls off. Terunofuji doesn't do that.
No, he doesn't.
Terunofuji lets you die.
It's like everybody knows that Takakeisho's in bad shape.
There is that inner circle within the wrestlers that everybody knows who's in what kind of shape. Usually they'll know it, even if it doesn't look like it. And so, for me, to see Terunofuji not only, reach out to try to grab him, but, linger and make sure that he gets up, meant that Terunofuji was concerned. Also, worth noting that I was shocked to see him come after he got his 8th win. But I realized at that point he wasn't showing up because he thought he had a chance. He was showing up because it was his Ozeki obligation.
That's right. And I kind of had said that to you a little bit. I had something in the back of my mind because he showed up to the Yokozuna deliberation practice. I'm like, I have this feeling that Takakeisho's kind of like, I've had enough. Okay, so I'm hurt. Okay, so I can't be Yokozuna. Let me just be the Ozeki.
Yeah. So when we were talking, I was just like, he's gone as soon as he gets that 8. It doesn't matter when.
Right. And I was buying into it, even though I had this thing.
You had mentioned, you're just like, oh, I don't know. He may stick to the end. I feel like if he had gotten his 8 a lot sooner,
it would have been different.
It would have been different. So, if there's a couple of losses there that maybe they couldn't have been losses, that's when Takakeisho would have been like, if it was like day 9, day 10, he would have washed his hands of it. But the fact that it took him that long and with that desperate sumo is, I think at that point, it's just like, I have to stay the course.
Well, it's interesting because I was talking to my husband about it and I just said, I'm really shocked that he's in. And he doesn't listen to our podcast that much. He'll socially watch sumo with us. It's interesting. And his statement to me without any hesitation was, Takakeisho's a tough guy. He's the one wrestler that I can say that I feel like he's got some pride on the line. And this is somebody who's a casual watcher who said that, and I felt something cool about that. I'm like, I hope that translates to other people, people who watch it more. That at the end of the day, Takakeisho is who he is, and he puts it all out on the line. And there's something cool about that.
To get that recognition from Terunofuji, I feel like it meant a lot. To me, I'm here over here halfway across the world. I'm just like, oh, he did that for him.
This is
wonderful. So good. I'm just like, what am I doing?
Wait, you picture when Takakeisho retires someday, he's gonna be buddies with everybody.
Oh God,
they're all gonna be like, oh, wasn't that crazy? Those matches.
His haircutting ceremony is going to be out of this world.
I'm gonna cry.
Oh, we're both gonna cry
for a week.
Besides the point.
Yeah, I don't want to go there yet.
It's not going to be for a very, very, very long time.
That's right. That's right.
Nothing to worry about for now. I'm not even beginning to think about it. So there is one more thing that I want to bring up. I feel like this is the one of the most talked about things that then nothing's done about it, which is Takakeisho had no business fighting. That much is clear. And nobody was happy about the quality of sumo. Nobody wants to see the lone Ozeki scrapping, plan Bing, Henka-ing, just a shadow of himself, minus the awesome Shodai blast out. Like
that was the best.
There were a couple of times that he sort of was able to get it together. He's just like, okay, Nishikifuji, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to give you half of my gas tank for the tournament, and just wrecked him. I did that to Ura too. So he had his moments, but he had to so he had like maybe 2 or 3 good days of sumo, and then the other 12 were lackluster.
Well, I mean, even in the fight with Wakamotoharu, like he had to resolve, go into the slaps.
Mm-hmm.
And those slaps that are like getting punched in the face.
They're haymakers, yeah.
And that probably threw Wakamotoharu off at the end.
A little bit.
But, I mean, this is what he's forced to do. It's like, get in there or you lose your Ozeki status. So what's he got? He's got slaps.
He's got slaps.
And nobody really wants to see that either.
Yeah. So we're in this weird spot that he is. The question is, why are you fighting? It's because he has to clear Kataban. Why does he have to clear Kataban? Because he can't sit out with these injured knees. Why can't he sit out with these injured knees?
Right. If you have that available for Yokozuna, I think it should be available for Ozeki with limitations.
Yeah, so there is, and I feel like, again, like this is one of those things that everybody talks about, but then nothing happens about it.
Yeah.
And I was going through, I remember one thing that we had discussed in the past, maybe it came from somebody else and we had sort of absorbed it, was giving people a buy. Mm-hmm. But that is inherently bad because then everybody's going to just be using their buys once a year to take a day off. And because like everybody's injured, and if you give all the Ozeki, all the Sanyaku, just like, here's your one get out of jail free card, you get to use it once a year. They're all sitting once a year. Not because they're injured, but because they can.
Right, but on the flip side, you might want to be very strategic with it.
Yeah, well,
you might want to save it for
not.
like, I'm really, really hurt. But I could see your point. But what's and I'm we're definitely open to other ideas and suggestions. But what's the alternative? Coming in and fighting.
This is our alternative right now.
Right, and the thing is, how many top guys have we lost to injury? Fighting on injured legs. Like if Takakeisho destroyed his knees in this tournament. Well, then maybe he's not coming back.
See, so I am curious, and you had mentioned this a while back, maybe during the preview show, that these kinds of issues were always there, but they're being magnified by the fact that he's the only guy holding the roof up. Right. And so maybe this is something that's just always there and always will be there, but now it's just a very visible pain point.
Because we have less guys to share the load.
Yeah. So I was going through how injuries happened in, well, I'll say Western sports, traditional sports. Like if you're in baseball or basketball, you get injured. Football, American football, and you get injured, you're just on the disabled list. They bench you, but you can get away with that because it's a group sport.
Right.
So I would say American football, there's 12 fights a season, or 12 games, or 12 to 16.
Yeah.
So if somebody is benched you can be benched for a significant amount of time, but that translates. But again, it's a team sport. So then I'm like, okay, what are some individual sports? And then I was like thinking of like tennis, I was thinking of golf.
Tennis is probably the most akin to sumo when it comes to how the rankings and injuries go.
Yeah, but the thing is for tennis and golf, like they have events going on all the time. So if you're I don't know, Federer, Williams, I'm not near.
Well, we can use Djokovic for an example.
Okay,
so
Djokovic.
He had to sit out a couple tournaments because of stuff, and he lost his number 1 spot. He was able to get it back way quicker than any Ozeki's gonna.
Yeah. So that's he's like, okay, I need this amount of time. I'm gonna lose my stuff, but then there's so many opportunities for him to go back and get it.
And there's not in sumo.
So this is part of the problem, is that sumo it's so infrequently and loss is so severe that giving people that rest is almost like the benefit of the rest itself skews everything else.
Yeah. And the thing is, a little bit of a precedent was set too with the COVID stuff. You were making guys sit out for tournaments and giving them some leeway. So you've already opened the door.
This is what I'm feeling like. This is now, as an outsider, it does feel like there's a precedence. You need there to be something that's happened before in order to do something new.
And we have it.
And so, like the Yokozunas, they always get to sit out because you can't demote them. So there's always that weird Yokozuna exception. And so for everyone else, it has been, how do you give people a bye? And if we were to hand that power over to the Sumo Association and say, you guys have the ability to pardon people.
Yeah,
so
that's another.
So that's, again, like you think about it, and then it's like that any amount of scrutiny, you can already see where this gets weird.
Which is why nothing ever happens, by the way.
Yes, it's so weird. I feel like that sort of plays into they have control of the situation. And I mean, then you get into the playing favorites, and this guy's sort of injured, and
right.
Is it just the Sanyaku? Is it just the Ozeki? Is it? This is why it's such a problem. Like, typically something like this, I'm like, okay, what would be the solution? And there's no good solution.
There's no good solution. It comes down to the question of, is it worth it?
And
is it worth it to open up the can of worms to preserve some Ozeki's, futures? And that's a question that only they can answer. Like, we can sit here and say what we want, especially me and my extreme bias. Will not hide that extreme bias. But at the end of the day, that is a question that I hope they're at least asking.
Something needs. It feels like something needs to happen, but again, like this, we have been saying this. Well, I've been hearing this and saying this since I started watching sumo 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and this is the kind of thing, like, nothing in sumo is new. This has been there. This has always been there. I do feel like the severity of injuries is going up as people's size and intensity is going up a little bit.
And a little bit more risky sumo.
A little bit more risky sumo. So there's some of that. Worth noting that in this tournament, very bad to have knees, and very, very bad to be a pusher thruster.
Yeah, I would say that the new virus is knee injury.
Knee injury virus.
If there was a way to catch a knee injury, many guys caught a knee injury this time around.
It is quite interesting to see the decline of push sumo.
It is.
And sort of that's like, I would say that's more interesting, like, it's the evolution of the sport, where all, like, we're going to talk about, there's a very small number of people who are push sumo primarily and got out scot-free.
Yeah, in every sport, even one that doesn't change like sumo, there is a natural evolution to it. It's the whole group of wrestlers, like, who comes up. And there was a period of time where the pusher thruster was king. And that is shifting away to these, like, smaller technique guys who can push and thrust if they have to. But yeah, guys like Takakeisho, there's not going to be...
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of them coming up.
That sort of feeds back into the, how do we deal with the injury thing? How do we deal with the pardons? And so it's a very complicated landscape. And sort of like, in respect to that, I'm like, okay, maybe there is no answer to this.
Right. Maybe we're just going to talk and
maybe
move on.
maybe all I can do is complain. Maybe all anybody could do is complain.
Yeah.
It's a weird spot to be in, but so be it. Welcome to sumo.
Yeah. Well,
it's sumo.
Exactly. Sumo is sumo.
Sumo and sumo. And again, good note. Cleared Kadoban, so if he does still have knee injuries
and wants to stay out the next tournament,
he's got his buyback.
Yeah, we need that. Thank goodness they at least have that.
And worth noting that he is no longer the only Ozeki.
Celebrate good times.
May I introduce the new Sekiwaki, or the soon-to-be former Sekiwaki 1 East, Kiribayama 11-4. We did it. We've gotten another newbie.
And he looks good. I don't question it.
He is deadly both on offense and on defense. There's patience. There's an analytical mind. Like, he doesn't just beat people. He deconstructs them, like, strategically. So, like, it's somebody who deserves Ozeki, who's earned it, and also, like, a different brand.
Yes.
So you have Terunofuji, who is just Hercules and will just destroy people. And I still feel bad for Tobizaru because he got that arm crunch from Terunofuji, and then his shoulders were taped up the entire rest of the time.
Well, he also hurt Hoshoryu too with that Kimidashi.
Oh my God, that's so deadly.
It
so
is.
you've got that overwhelming power, and then you have Takakeisho, who, when he's himself, will just launch people with incredible power with the push specialist. And now here's Kiribayama, who is this mixed bag of great sumo technique. He does do push sumo. He does know when to flip the script. It's the tactician. And this is what makes this whole interesting, is now we have this dynamic building, and we'll continue to build in July very optimistically. So I think it's going to be this week that it's going to be formal, but 10 wins was the minimum requirement. 11 wins was the icing on the cake. and he put Terunofuji through his paces with what I would say an Ozeki level skill against the Yokozuna.
What I saw out in the world, the internet world, was that Wednesday would be the formal announcement.
Yeah, so hopefully this week we will get the knowledge, and
hopefully there'll be a Chris Sumo video.
Yes, we will get to see that. This would be perfect Sumo Primetime material. I'm going to assume he'll cover it.
I would assume so too, because we haven't had an Ozeki promotion in a while.
Yeah, and my favorite thing is I get to see the tiny little microphone that they make so that it lines up with the guy who's on his hands and knees making his review.
Yeah,
it's a tiny little tripod. I don't know. These are the little things that I was just like, oh, that's so cute.
You got to look at all the details.
All the little details. They made this specifically for somebody who will be talking to the carpet.
Yes, exactly.
But anyway, well done, Kiribayama. He is going to then put the task on everybody below him, make room in Sanyaku.
We need that.
Give Takakeisho some fresh rivalry, somebody else to hold the pillar, and...
I mean, I'd love to see them fight when Takakeisho was at full force.
Prime Takakeisho versus Prime Kiribayama. That was already a good fight. And you know now that Kiribayama, and this is probably, I think, the most important thing, the transition to Ozeki is what is the brutal factor. But Kiribayama, it seems like he's the guy who can weather the storm. Now, it's all well and good to talk about it. We'll see how he is in July. That Shin Ozeki experience is fresh.
And he's got an extra problem. Kakeru retires on June 4th, his retirement ceremony.
Yes.
So how many more parties is Kiribayama going to?
Oh my gosh,
than the average Shin Ozeki?
He's not going to practice at all.
No, he's just going to be at party after party.
Oh no. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, he's not even going to sleep. He's going to sleep for 2 hours. They're going to be like, no. You got to leave practice again. You got to go do an interview. So, but I will say that I think of all wrestlers, Kiribayama has a lot of stamina, so he might just perform adequately versus getting...
Yeah, that's a good point. For Shin Ozeki, I'm not going to say 8 wins. I'm going to say Kachikoshi. The 9 to 10 is what you would hope for.
Even the great Hakuho, when he first went up to Ozeki, had a problem. As I understand it, he actually went Kadoban as well.
Okay. Kiribayama, you've got...
We're going to give it to you.
Ease into it, okay?
And Kakeru's going to retire, so he's going to have all his time to spend, with you, and it's going to work out. I hope. We're knocking on the wood again.
Knocking on the wood. Alrighty. Next up, another person 11-4. This sort of snuck up on me.
It was very sneaky Hoshoryu.
Yes, Hoshoryu, Sekiwaki, 1 West. It's because three of the 4 wins were before the final push, so they didn't really talk about him in the Yusho race all that much.
Well, especially because he had 2 Fusen.
There's the 2 Fusensho. I'll say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, it's true.
So the way he beat people in that typical Hoshoryu fashion, particularly when he fought Kotonowaka and Kiribayama on the last day, that fight against Kiribayama on the last day.
That was a statement.
That was I think y'all forgot. Watch him get picked up and then chucked.
He will not be denied the spotlight for long.
That was very satisfying to watch.
Yeah, I can't help it. Like, even though Hoshoryu is so cocky, I can't help but love it when he puts people in their place.
And worth noting that the 2 Fusenshu were against Endo, who Endo was an injured wreck, so I feel like we could give that fight to him. And Takayasu, who was also an injured wreck.
Right, he would have won those anyway.
Again, now, the Takayasu Hoshoryu fight is very interesting, and a fresh Takayasu is going to give that man problems. But just worth noting that he is, like, the 2 Fusensho, it's always, but I feel like those are not, like, I feel like for every freebie win, we get the Tsurugi show beat up. Also, the Hokuseiho problem, which was fascinating to watch. I have a lot on Hokuseiho positive to talk about, but for Hoshoryu to methodically undo that back grip that was plaguing everybody, including Asanayama, and just chuck him, I was like, I watched it. I'm like, this is like, like when you watch, I think like curling, like Olympic curling, and then you watch these people, you're like, I really don't understand what's going on, but it's fascinating. These people are really good at it.
Yeah.
I sort of got that vibe
Exactly.
watching Hoshoryu. I'm just like, damn, he just figured that puzzle out. Or it's like watching the world record of Rubik's Cube. They just go,
Exactly.
You're just like, I can't do that. I can't process anything.
How can you fight this giant of a man and figure out how to take him apart all in one shot?
Oh, he did it, and he made it. He just did it not effortlessly, but like with such like almost casual confidence.
And it did throw Hokuseiho off. Like that was one of the nails for him, where it was really hard to get motivated again.
He had a streak in the wrong direction after that day.
Yeah.
So for Hoshoryu, he is on his Ozeki run going into July. There's one very important thing that he needs, and that is a cup.
Yeah, they're gonna hold those Fusen shows against him.
I feel like he needs that Yusho, and if he gets it or equivalent, so he needs. I feel like he needs more than. I think he needs like 11 or 12 wins to get it on paper. I feel like they're gonna make him get the cup. I feel like he needs that 13 win show of force.
Yeah,
and I think he knows it.
Well, especially because Terunofuji's come back and said, okay, this is what a Yusho win is, 14-1. We're tired of these 12-3s. But I'm sure they're paying attention to the fact that he manhandled Kiribayama on the last day.
On the last day. What a
statement maker. That's all I can say.
Very exciting, and he's gonna be where Kiribayama is now. He's just gonna be ready to go.
Yeah.
On the starters line.
That's right. And so if he has the same stamina, we know he has the same I don't want to say same technique, but he's very technique oriented as well.
Yes.
It should be okay, but July is another weird one. It's super, super hot in Japan in July, and you've got the Slippy Toshi.
Yep. It's the
and Hoshoryu is somebody who falls victim to that a lot.
It's the slippy, hot, humid,
bounce
wild,
right off each other, can't get a grip.
It's going to be very interesting to see people try to get any sort of traction.
It's like Mitakeumi's basho.
It is. So somebody else on the starters line, Daieisho 10-5. So I would say right here when he was 8-5 and he loses to Mitakeumi, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, this is over.
Uh-oh. Then he blasts out Meisei on bed knees, but still Meisei, a guy who beat the Yokozuna and was some of the best sumo I've seen out of Meisei.
I was going to say, I was so impressed by Meisei, but we'll get there.
And then demolishes Wakamotoharu.
That was shocking.
Oh my god! The amount, like he just like he woke up and he's just like, anything that's left in that gas tank, I am just burning it.
And that's something that I think having Kiribayama get promoted, Terunofuji dominate, it sparked something in Daieisho that he needed.
Yeah, and so he's got some weaknesses, but he also has some new strengths. So that many of his wins, particularly against Midorifuji and Abi, it's footwork issues that he's still working on those that may never go away. But he's doing some belt stuff. Not crazy, but he used a belt to win against Kotonowaka. Kotonowaka probably did not appreciate that. Also used the belt for Nishikigi on a reversal. Nishikigi, who also went on a tear.
Yeah, 8 straight wins at the end.
So he's doing some extra stuff, and this is always what we say, the air quotes one note techniques.
He tracked well, too. One of Daieisho's issues is getting the guys right on the edge, and then they do, like, the bullfighter thing, and they pull it out from under him. He was stuck like glue on some of these guys, like, no, I'm going to knock you out. And that's what he really needs to do. I really want to see him fighting Prime Kiribayama in July with his own Ozeki prospects kind of hanging in there.
Yes.
See if, like, dialed up Daieisho can do.
So he does have the Yusho equivalent from March. So for him, it's just air quotes 11 wins, and then that's 33. Now they may ask for a little bit more, particularly, you know, if it's like 11-4 and some of those wins aren't looking that good, maybe
they might want a win against Takakeisho.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
I could see them demanding
a win against an Ozeki, one or both, or the win against the Yokozuna. I think, yeah.
Right. Any combination of that.
I think if he's 12-3 and then these are his 3 losses, I think they're giving him a pass.
Yeah, they're going to say try again.
That's interesting. Oh, that's an interesting thought. Right.
They're going to be pushing him in July. Like, you want it, you got to get it.
Oh,
especially because of his very poor record against Takakeisho. He has beaten Terunofuji. So, still, Terunofuji is, you got to beat him. You beat the Yokozuna, it gives you a lot of clout.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very bad record against Takakeisho.
Yeah.
You might have to overcome that to get...
It's interesting.
They like that Ozeki beating Ozeki to get in the spot thing.
I like this idea. And so, Daieisho did well. Good. Like, I mean, look at this, like, bounty of double-digit wins right here.
We've been waiting for this for a very long time.
So this is another thing, and this is what Terunofuji gave us, and now what we're finally starting to see is that layer of elite finally making that extra push and getting to the point where it looks like we've got the layer at the top that's been gone for so long.
Yeah.
And if we get more of this kind of stuff, then I feel like a lot of this ranking stuff is just going to fix itself.
Well, particularly when you have like some of the smaller guys that were making pushes like Midorifuji and Nishikifuji. Mm-hmm. They're almost kind of being put in their place right now.
Yes.
Instead of like toying around up there.
Yes.
These guys are showing them like you aren't good enough to be up here with us right now.
Yeah. Know your place is definitely that vibe we're getting.
And that's good though, because you want some guys who are trying to work harder to get higher. And we just had such a like log jam up in Sanyaku
for a while
that like people's motivations weren't quite what they needed to be to have the top.
We're finally getting it. They're finally figuring it out. Some of these people are like, it's just time for Kiribayama, of most of all, because like he was clawing, inching his way up a little bit. We're just like he's let him go. He'll figure it out. He's figured it out, and that's what's happening for a lot of these people. And we're like, they're finally having their moments. And
and he's a little bit on the older side too. He's like upper 20s,
mm-hmm.
whereas Hoshoryu, if he can get his stuff together,
he'll be there for a long time.
Yeah. So, and Daieisho's in the upper age, and Wakamotoharu's in the upper age.
Yeah. So he did enough to, I'll say, keep the Ozeki run alive.
Yes.
And now July is going to be his proving grounds, because it was interesting. They were talking about him getting Ozeki, even though the double-digit wins was at Mega Shira 1.
Yeah.
There's more than a couple places online that were like, oh, they could give it to him if they really wanted, and I was. They
want to give it out.
They want to give it out.
Give us a reason.
So that's all it is. So Daieisho will hopefully find that reason by July.
I hope so.
So speaking of reasons, Wakamotoharu 10-5 with the Uchari heard across the world. Oh my goodness!
I don't know if I've ever seen a sumo move so perfectly executed in my life
against like the worst person to do it to.
This giant of a man.
Here comes massive Hokuseiho, who, by the way, proved he belongs here, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But expert defensive chops, doing his work, and Wakamotoharu reverses at the eds. You see air behind them on the instant replay. It is the perfectly clean. They hit, then you hit, and like for me, that was like it capped off such a beautiful 2 weeks of sumo for Wakamotoharu.
I really think of all these guys, and maybe Kiribayama's made a little bit of a push, but his defeat against Terunofuji knocked him down a notch for me. I think Wakamotoharu has so much potential to be Yokozuna. And I don't say that about the other Ozekis. Maybe it's because I've had a lot more time with them and it's taking them a long time just to get to Ozeki. I feel like there's something very special about Wakamotoharu, and I think he needs to bulk up. He needs to get stronger.
A little stronger. That was Kiribayama's trick to success.
Exactly. Kiribayama's gotten a lot stronger than before. I think Wakamotoharu is a very special wrestler, but I do fear with those Ucharis that he's going to kill himself.
There's a little bit of a risk involved. So I will say for Wakamotoharu, he's always had, once he figured it out, because he was slumming it for a long time. Wakatakakage passed him, and then Wakatakakage was the top. Wakamotoharu figured something out, and since then, he always had that like we talk about auras all the time. but like and I remember saying how baffled I was, how consistent the 9-6, the 9-6, the 9-6, crawling up, same results, only getting better. Had the one losing score, then rebounds and does even better afterwards. Like it is that feeling of I belong here, and if you just came in and watched sumo, like you wouldn't have believed he wasn't here a year ago.
Right.
Just the way he carries himself, the level of his sumo.
He has some regalness.
Amped up. I feel like from what we saw out of Shodai and Mitakeumi, so in recent memory, like that transition to Ozeki is absolutely brutal. And this is something we've been saying for Takakeisho forever. Ozeki sucks. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we look at these four Sanyaku right here on the screen. Kiribayama is Ozeki. Can he be Yokozuna? Maybe. But we're like, we gotta wait and see.
Yeah.
Hoshoryu, can he be Yokozuna? Like, I feel like you can only keep that away from so long. It's really up to him how long he wants to take. Go to Wakamotoharu, we're like, well, he's got the body for it. Or he's got the spirit for it, but does he have the body for it?
Right. He reminds me a little bit of Terunofuji. And I think Terunofuji had to put on some weight and had to put on some bulk, but that's who he reminds me of. And Terunofuji was a great Yokozuna. He was a little bit on the thinner side, but he was a technique guy.
I'll say dark horse. I say Daieisho's the Yokozuna dark horse of these four. I'm still a love Daieisho, diehard Daieisho fan.
But he's a pusher thruster.
There it is. I feel like for him to get Ozeki is the challenge, and then if he can get to Ozeki, then we'll see how he deals.
Could you imagine him and Takakeisho clashing for the next couple of years? That would be so fun.
I can.
Ozeki level fighting.
Like a Daieisho Takakeisho on day 15 kind of matches.
That would be cool.
It's possible. It's possible for him. For Wakamotoharu, like let's get you to Ozeki. Let's shake off that Shin Ozeki energy vibes. Then if he takes that transition to Ozeki with the same stride that he did all the way up here, then I'm like, there's no stopping him. It's that transition though. I cannot stress how scared I am of anybody going that high up.
I know it's we've been traumatized by all these different things going wrong in the last few years.
It is. So, and here's the good news now that we're almost done with Sekiwake. As we had mentioned, all three of these people can become Ozeki in July.
Isn't that insane?
But like Hoshoryu, Wakamotoharu needs that icing on the cake. They're not just going to give it to him on numbers.
He was looking good for a while, and then, these losses at the end, they're going to expect more.
They're going to expect more. So for Daieisho, I do feel like you don't have to win it, but if you beat some Ozeki, you're in. For both of these guys, let's see some cups.
Yeah.
Which is then going to make these two guys going after each other in the second week all the more crazy.
They're going to be so amped up in competition, like just trying to prove themselves. It's going to bring in some really good sumo.
And this is what the upper crust brings us.
That's right. This is why you need this.
And what is good news is that we're already getting it. And we already got it in May. And it was just absolutely beautiful. So now we're going to go down to Komusubi. And we're going to talk about Kotonowaka, who scraped it by.
Yeah, he did.
He was 5-7. I was like,
I didn't think it was going to happen.
I don't know. So, worth noting, who did he lose to? Everybody above him. Wakamotoharu, Kiribayama, Shodai, Daieisho, Hoshoryu, Terunofuji, and then the wild and crazy Nishikigi, who would not be denied. I'm pretty sure that if Nishikigi fought Terunofuji on the week 2, he would have beat him too.
And the thing is, his match with Terunofuji, it was a nice glimpse into what is possible.
He did really well. Worth noting, he did a lot better than some of these guys.
I mean, think about it. The body mass. Finally, there was a guy who could kind of compete with Terunofuji with that upper body strength. Yeah. So here you saw two guys. If you did not know sumo, you might think Kotonowaka was a Yokozuna too.
He had that it was like you said, that flash of brilliance, that this is what he can do. But if you want to get higher, you've got to do better than losing to everybody in Sanyaku.
Yeah, there's almost like this letdown with Kotonowaka where those flashes of brilliance burn out.
A little bit. Yeah. And I mean, like, pragmatically, it's just turn these losses in the wins. I am not talking about Takakeisho as a upper level fighter this tournament.
Yeah, let's never talk about Takakeisho in this tournament.
No, no. The less said, the more. So this is his work. So good news for him is that even Abi, who a bit of a trickster this tournament, we'll talk about him.
Yeah.
So he's able to deal with everybody underneath. Now can you deal with the people above you?
And if you can't, then you're stuck where you are.
Well, yeah. Worse than stuck where you are, he's going out.
Right. Eventually his luck will run out.
That's the thing. So Kotono, does he belong in Sanyaku? Yes. Can he stay in Sanyaku? That's up to him now.
Yeah, he's gotta make some changes.
But sort of the good news for him is that we're at that transition point where he's getting comfortable with Sanyaku and then is realizing there's not a lot of clean ways up anymore.
Yeah, and he had a lot more wins in the center of the ring. Remember we were talking about that before?
Yes.
A lot less on the edge ballerina stuff and a lot more like let me come at you in the middle. That's how he has to fight. He's a big dude with a upper body strength who can do belt techniques. He doesn't belong on the edge. No. That's Tsudagisho. Because Tsudagisho isn't...
My goodness, wow.
He's not as powerful as Kotonowaka, you know?
All right. So, again, good news for him. He turns it around. He squeaks by with the 8 and 7. And so he's able to keep the Sanyaku rank and possibly build off of it. I do not know if they're going to give him the 4th Sekiwake slot.
I was going to ask you.
I could see this going both ways.
Yeah.
Both them saying you're not Sekiwake material, or them saying you got an 8 and 7 and there's an empty slot.
Right.
Coin flip in my head.
Yeah, it depends on their mood.
Depends on the mood. Now I will say the fighting spirit in the last 3 days does have that positive factor, but well, we will find out together in the last week of June.
Yes.
Which feels
the Banzuke is going to be fun.
Feels so far away.
It does. Every time a tournament ends, it's like,
oh, we got to wait another 2 months.
But the summer is so crazy busy that I think it'll actually sneak up on us.
It might.
We're going to be like, oh, wait.
June's going to evaporate.
Yeah, June's going to evaporate.
So we're going to get this out of the way. Kamasubi 1 West.
The tears.
Wakatakakage. Lots and lots of bad injuries. It is going to just wait for him to fall off. It's the same thing like when Asanayama had his suspension. We're just staring at him. We're like, we want you here, but I just can't look at you right now.
Yeah, and there was some talk, I think it was on the Sumo Prime Time feed, I don't know if it was the comments or actually Hiro, where he's got a lot of support at home. His brothers, his family. So at the very least, he's not sitting isolated and depressed. He's being surrounded by a lot of positivity.
He's got a safety net.
Hopefully that will help him heal. Very, very optimistic side of me.
It's going to be 2 years before he's back on this list.
Thanks, John. Thanks for bringing it down. Okay? I know, man. Yeah. I know.
I'm thinking of this like another time capsule. It's not if, it's when. Just like Asanayama.
Yes. And we finally have reached the point.
Yes. And we'll be circling back to that point in a little bit. But in any case, heal up, get better. Hope you get a lot of bed rest.
Yeah. Root your brother on.
Yeah. And make other people lift boxes. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't try to man mode it. Yeah. Don't upper body strength it. Just let it go.
Nope. Just rest.
Okay. So, Kamasubi 2 East. Shodai 6 and 9. Stress-free happiness. I remember 6 and 9. I would say 6 months ago out of Shodai would have given me so much stress.
Now it's like,
Now I'm like, it's fine.
Whatever. It's Shodai.
Fine. So he had some real spirited stuff. He did get caught out, as we mentioned, against Takakeisho, which was like boom, and then like nobody knew what happened except Takakeisho. Like,
even Shodai was like, huh?
What? So worth noting, he is one of the few people to get a win off of Kiribayama. So he's still doing it right, and Kotonowaka right next to each other, killer's row. And he did it both in that, I would say, that peak Shodai way. He gets inside, he gets that upper body lock, he just smothers you with his size, and he runs you out, and he controls you the whole time. Like, that kind of sumo was what made Shodai an Ozeki, and it came back. And it's coming back. Briefly, a little bit. Also worth noting that against Daieisho and Wakamotoharu, he put them through their paces. So there were a couple of what I'll call the failed Tachiai losses where he just gets completely blasted out immediately. Then there were some matches that, like, even though he lost, he put on a good fight.
Well, I think what it is because Shodai does that absorption Tachiai, it's very risky.
Yes.
If you're going up against a guy who really has blast power, you're taking your life in your hands. And that's what happened with Takakeisho. Takakeisho knows Shodai is just going to stand there. And so Takakeisho just summons up whatever little bit of energy he had. And it's like, what is Shodai going to do now? He's left himself completely open.
He's given them the opportunity and they took it. So a little bit of a sad note is we had what I'll call our former Ozeki round robin. And he lost both of those matches. And he lost both of those matches convincingly. And that sucked a bit.
It did. I wanted those to be competitive.
So this one particularly, he was 6-7. So that was his Darwin match, and he lost it. So now again, I'm not nearly as torn up about this as I would have been when he was Kataban or Ozeki Wake.
Because we're finally free.
We're finally free. But there's a little bit of consistency issues to worry about.
Yeah,
so,
and I think he should have been able to beat both of those guys.
At least one of them. Pick either one.
Because, I mean, Asanoyama, maybe I'm being too hard on him, but he should have been able to beat Mitakeumi.
Yeah, but in any case, he'll be out of Sanyaku. We're finally cleaning this mess up.
It's about time. Nice. I like some order here.
Yep. So we're losing 3 people out of Sekiwake. One's going up, 2's going down. And so that's going to be an opportunity for them to clean house a bit. And it also helps that there's not a lot of stuff going on down here.
No, we were briefly talking on one of the live streams about how like 1 through 5 was not going so great.
Yes. So we've got 1, 2, 3 people out of these top 10 that had a winning
Is Abi the only one?
No, Abi, Nishikigi.
Okay, Nishikigi was looking bad at the time.
So the live stream was like here at this point when he was 3-6. So no reason to believe that he would go on this tear. I still don't believe he went on this tear. It was absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, and then we have Tobizaru also.
Yep. So Tobizaru scrapes it by on the last day. He was like Kotonowaka, he was 5-7, and we're like
not looking good.
So we have both of these guys getting it on the last day. So nobody was looking good, but they scraped it.
It was looking like all 5 guys were going to get swapped out.
Yeah. But so we're going to talk about Abi, 8-7, make sure 1 East. With all due love and respect to Abi, and I'm saying this as an Abi fan, as somebody who loves him, he's a heel.
I 100% agree. And you know what? He's always been a heel. What happened was he was going through his redemption arc, and being the good guy didn't work, so he went back to being a heel. Yes. His natural form.
Yeah,
he tried to pretend, but it didn't work. He's not a good guy.
Vince McMahon brought him back. It's just like, look, this being a nice thing, the crowd just isn't responding.
You're not a baby face. You're just not.
So we're just, in the next match, you're just going to get the steel chair, and you're just going to ruin the whole Intercontinental Championship.
He might as well have pulled out a steel chair with the antics that he played.
And again, like, this is with love and respect for him. Abi fans out there, I feel like you may be feeling the same way, but if you're not, please don't get mad at us. We're having fun here.
That's right. Like, it's all in fun, but let's be honest about Abi in some of the things he did.
Yeah. So there's 2 aspects to this. First off, he did what I'll call clean wins, that he just won with prime push sumo, and when Tobizaru was up, he just runs at him and smashes him out. Against Ura on the last day, he just like, I'm just gonna smash you.
Right. The guys who are trickier than him. He's
just like, I gotta play you clean.
Exactly.
Against Shodai, he breaks the anti-physics engine on the Tachiai. So, like, he can fight that way.
He's just choosing not to.
He just chooses not to.
I told you his natural form has come out.
Exactly. So, on one hand, it's just like, now him fighting clean is the trick.
Yeah.
Here's the other part. Look at some of his other wins. Wakamotoharu. Kiribayama. Daieisho. How do you talk crap about something that works?
That's the thing about Abi, right? Abi wants to win. And you take that as you take that. Abi, Abi's the type of guy who does not show shame.
Yeah, I also
doesn't care.
And like, at what point do we blame Abi for the cheap, quick slapdown against Wakamotoharu? Wakamotoharu, you're trying to be Ozeki. You telling me you don't have an answer for Abi yet?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, people should be wise to Abi's game, and if you lose to Abi's game, it's a little bit on you because you know that's who he is. He's always been this way.
There is I feel like there was some sort of, like, this was the steel chair. At least for me, watching him.
That was a steel chair to Wakamotoharu.
Because I remember I was saying this before. I was just like, is the plan B working more? It's like, I want him to be playing, I wanted him to be the good guy, but then this is the one where he really just, there's Triple H trying to win. Triple H turned face, right? Because he was a mix.
He was always a mix.
He was always a mix. So, like, let's say Triple H was him and Abi they're teaming up, and then that's when he sneaks in and he gets the chair and Triple H loses the belt. Like, that was what it felt like for me this tournament. That's when the true colors came out.
Or it's almost like he's delivering a promo about how he's the good guy, and then all of a sudden he starts yelling at the fans to shut up. Like, he pulled it on us as much as he pulled it on the wrestlers.
So it's like a new form of love for him now.
Well, because you have to, if you're looking at this from an entertainment standpoint, you have to have the guys that do stuff that make you angry. That's why Hoshoryu is so appealing. There are some people who love him for his sumo, and there are people who hate him because he's always got the face on or he's doing these Hanka things. I feel like you need a guy. Love and hate is a very thin line. That's all I'm going to say. From an entertainment standpoint, you're going to love to root against Abi when he's doing his sketchy stuff.
He's doing the sketchy stuff. So I don't know. Maybe this is the tournament for me that I finally got on board for what was going on the whole time. But I also...
Of course, I don't want to see him fight Takakeisho with that stuff.
Well...
Did he even fight him?
He lost to him.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There was so much stuff.
So much happens that you forget day one.
Yeah. And again, like, I had discounted Takakeisho's both for wins and for losses when I was looking this stuff over.
Well, that's it. Like, I didn't revisit the Takakeisho matches because I didn't watch half of them.
Yeah. So I think basically Abi tried to do stuff and Takakeisho was like, no, you don't. And that was basically what happened, is that Takakeisho already knew Abi was a heel before I did. So Takakeisho had the plan go. And that's what's going on. So Abi, God bless you. But it's one of those things, like, when there's a good heel, and it's like everybody starts booing him, and the guy's just like this. Like, I'm doing like the taunt. He's like, "Come on."
It's like a good villain in a movie too. It's like
you're
drawn to that villainous tactic, even though you don't want to root for the bad guy.
Abi, love you, buddy.
I will say this: the thing that bugged me, was the Hanka on Meisei because Meisei got hurt.
He did hurt his knees.
And here's Meisei on this great tear, and he really was trying to show something. And it's just such a disappointment to watch somebody get hurt on a Hanka. So that was the part where I'm like, Abi, you're twisting the knife for me, man.
A little bit.
I'm having a hard time rooting for you when you do this kind of stuff.
Okay.
That one was painful.
That one did suck. I'll give you that.
Maybe I'm not going to watch Abi matches either. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll send you a message. We'll start with Takakeisho. If you start getting antsy about Abi, I'll let you know. I'll be like,
I only want the injury report, not the match status.
Well, like I'll be like Abi, and I'll do like the emote for the Oni mask.
Okay.
I'll be like, warning, Abi, Oni mask.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll start doing that. All right, moving on. So I'm gonna get out in front of this one. Making sure One West Midorifuji. I am sorry, everybody, one and all, because I picked Midorifuji to win and it cursed him. My heartfelt, deepest apologies to all Midorifuji fans. This is all my fault.
It is.
This is just what happens when we pick winners.
We shouldn't pick. No, we have to pick
we have
winners.
to do it. Like, this is part of what we do. But in this case, like, when he, like this 0-5 right here, when he lost to Wakamotoharu, I'm just like, this is entirely me. I knew it in my bones.
Well, I mean, I cursed Kotoshoho a couple tournaments ago. Was that March?
So this was on me.
It's your turn.
So slightly more seriously, only slightly. We had mentioned this before when we were talking about how good the Sanyaku were and that they were putting people in his place. Midorifuji has been put in his place. Look again. Wakamotoharu, Hoshoryu, Kiribayama, Shodai, Kotonowaka.
You even have to count Takakeisho because I think that was one of his definitive wins.
He did catch Midorifuji. So again, like these are the people he's losing to. So he sort of has a similar problem to Kotonowaka, except he's a few steps behind.
Right, and he's a smaller guy. I mean,
He's
the
a smaller
smaller
guy.
guys have a different thing that they got to worry about. Like if they're not super speedy and super crafty and make their choices quick, they're done.
They're done. And I looked back at Midorifuji for when he had his I'm looking back at this. I'm just like, man, we're this, like, is he streaky or something? I pulled up his records before. All the 10 wins weren't against any of these people. So this is his comeuppance.
Okay.
Now I think there's a couple. I think like there's a win-loss against Ura. Like he beat Ura in March, but then lost to him in May. So there's a couple of like pivots going on here. But like in general, the narrative is Midorifuji has found his ceiling, and so for him, it's time to start doing more Katsukashi, but now you got to do it against Wakamotoharu. Now you got to do it against a healthy Takakeisho.
He needs to like start doing some push-ups with Terunofuji or something.
A little bit. So like this is the new challenge for Midorifuji, and I'm optimistic that he can handle it. It's just now it's sort of like we were like, okay, you know that 10-0 from before? Here's reality. I'm calling you right now.
Yep.
Which, man.
It hurts.
So again, like Midorifuji, I feel like has proven he's got the grit, and there's no getting rid of him. So
yeah.
And I think also like again, we mentioned all this mess going on right here. They're gonna be very generous to him. Like he's gonna be 2 West. He's only gonna go down one little thing.
Right. So he gets a do-over.
He's gonna get a do-over, and in July he's gonna be able to try this all over again.
And hey, the whole Slippy Otoshi benefits him.
It kind of does. He's got some sturdy legs.
Yeah, so I think he could make something magical happen in July if he's on his game.
A little bit. So there's a little bit of a spark of hope, and again, I feel like keep him like maybe he gets the win off of Hoshoryu instead, and then maybe he doesn't lose to Tobizaru. All of a sudden now it's an 8-7. That's how close it is.
Well, even Shodai too.
Yeah, even Shodai. Shodai will be right there.
And Oho is a mixed bag because you never know. So like. There's things in there that if things go a little differently,
maybe things are going to be a little different. So Midorifuji, I feel like he's going to be, again, right here. Try it all again next time, but next time you gotta bring something to show and tell.
Yeah.
Not that he hasn't, like he had some really nice throws. He always does.
Oh, he does.
Always does. This is not a he's not doing it. It's you've got to do more.
Right, you've got to push so much harder than everybody else.
All right, so we're gonna have a couple of Debbie Downers here.
Always happens these days.
Takayasu, Megashira 2 East, 3, 3, and 9. We hear on day 1 that he pulled his thigh like the morning of, and it's the typical needs 2 to 4 weeks to heal, or just like, damn it, happened to him again. It's no curse. Then he comes back, injured, clearly injured. Now he scrapes a 3 and 2, but with.
What was the point?
Well, this is like Takayasu. Like, I want to see you fight too, and nobody wants to see you injured and falling down again. But dude, just stay home, man. And this
goes to that whole thing.
This goes to the whole thing. And Midorifuji was doing it for a while when he had his first. We had that hernia.
He had a hernia and he couldn't get a surgery for it.
He keeps fighting anyway. He's just trying to scrape by. Kotoshoho down here does the same thing. Clearly injured. Comes back to try to scrape something with subpar sumo. Guys, you just gotta rest up. Gotta not be injured.
If you're not in like the top spots that are hard to get, it doesn't seem worth it.
No.
Like if you're Ozeki, I get why you come back. But if you're Maegashira 2, the worst that can happen to you is you get dumped all the way down to the bottom and you clean house in the next tournament.
Come back.
Yeah. So a little bit of that is on them, but who knows?
But this is also like this is the wrestler mentality is that they always want to fight because and also like if you're not like this, then you're not Megashira 2.
That's
you're not
right.
Ozeki.
And maybe we don't enjoy sumo as much if these guys aren't like this.
Exactly. Too. This is what makes this whole injury discussion so complicated. Because maybe the solution, maybe the cure is worse than the disease.
Right.
But regardless, Takayasu is going to take a tumble. Perhaps his sacrifice of his injuries to make them worse is going to give him favor, and he'll not be as bad. I don't know. Just Takayasu, stay home next time, please.
Yeah, get better.
Very, very uncomfortable. Hoping you don't aggravate something, but
don't pull a Tochinoshin and hurt a different part of your body.
It's unfortunate. But anyway, okay. So from annoyance to annoyance, Endo 0, 7, and 8 and Megashira 2 West. First off, gets a brutal schedule up front. Look at this: Wakamotoharu, Kiribayama, Terunofuji, Takakeisho, the Fuji brothers. So he gets the meat grinder thrown at him, and then he gets injured.
Right.
So I feel like he was already injured, and he was just trying to scrape it together.
And it's like, okay, this isn't going to work fighting these guys.
And so it just gets worse, and he's getting thrown around every day, so he just hits the break point, and then he sits out, which sucks, because Endo was making that push. And hopefully he comes back from the injuries. Hopefully this is like you say, you never know who's going to be the next person.
You don't.
I am very worried for Endo.
I know. He has a history of injuries, too, so it's like... It just comes to a point where, will he say, and because retirements are catching. When you have somebody like Ichinojo just say, I'm out, and then I'm flying back to Mongolia, and I want nothing to do with sumo, does it put things in guys' heads like, why am I still doing this? Like, my knees are too hurt.
I'm concerned. So, I feel like a part of me is just like, it's not really going to happen. He's just going to fall down and he's going to scrape by for a little bit longer. And the other part of me is just like, you don't know that.
Right. Don't forget Ikiyoi.
Chiyotaru just up and left.
Yeah, he up and left and started a restaurant. And apparently it's by invite only. So you can't just show up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're never going to get in there.
There goes my Memorial Day plans.
Better sell those tickets back.
Yeah, I guess. Get some refunds real quick. All right. But in any case, Endo is going to be a big question mark now, because something like this that kills the momentum when you're trying to build it back means that you got to sort of reset. But I hope we don't lose him. I'm not ready to say goodbye to Endo.
And neither is his fan club.
No, I feel like that may be keeping him in sumo a little bit longer than it should be. But
would guess.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's all good.
That's another rabbit hole. You don't need to go down. All right. So Megashira 3 East, Tobizaru squeaks it by. I
was celebrating that.
Oh, man. So he, as we had mentioned, he's fighting a lot cleaner these days, doing belt fights, still having the fun slap food. The fight with Ura.
Glorious.
Oh, my gosh.
What a beautiful match.
We need that.
I know.
Every day we need that.
And let me just say, because it didn't really come out in the live streams, I love Tobizaru. I love him. I don't care if he's flying through the ring. That smile at the end of every match just warms my heart.
When both Ura and Tobizaru at the end of their fight,
Ura's like jumping up with this like, yeah. And Tobizaru's got the biggest smile I've ever seen.
Like you can tell, like he's in it for the love of the game.
Yeah.
Like to lose that way and then to stand up and be like, man, that was good.
Yeah,
it's a fun kind of person.
I love those too.
Still doing some fun slapdown stuff. Nishikigi and Nishikifuji. Thank goodness for my notes that they both lost to Tobizaru. I didn't have to get confused.
Yeah,
and they both, and it was both. Now again, this is Nishikigi. Now this is in his before he woke up one day and decided he was done with it. But still, Nishikigi was doing the smother thing. He's just like, nah, I'm gonna slap you down. Also, some of his losses were pretty close. Versus Kiribayama had to work on it.
Yeah.
Like now it was still like
you could tell
Kiribayama was going to win, but Tobizaru was on the belt and Kiribayama had that moment that he had to adjust.
Yeah.
And so like Tobizaru made him work for it.
Tobizaru's kind of like the little brother who's like, don't sleep on him.
Don't sleep. Yeah. So it sort of reminded. So I got the same energy from watching him fight Kiribayama that when Kotonowaka fought Terunofuji, that you're sort of just like, I know you're going to lose, but you kind of did better than I thought you would.
Exactly.
Particularly, like, on the belt, like, giving Kiribayama his game, and then not really losing by that much.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And the 8 and 7, the rare Megashira 1-5 Kachikoshi. So he's making the trends upwards. I feel like, the meat grinder's grinding him. He's starting to grind a little back. He's still working in that energy, that scene, but he's having fun. We're having fun. He's trying his best every day.
I think it's a sad sumo world without Tobizaru in it. I think he he throws some of these guys off so bad because he's unpredictable. And Ura has a similar vibe, but they're each different in their unpredictability. So with Tobizaru, like, you might even think, yeah, I'm going to beat him today, but you just don't know what he's going to pull out. He might pull out some crazy little, like, grab your arm and trip your leg.
He's got the full bag of tricks. Like, he's the recovered guy, but, like, he's like the honorable rogue. So, like, there's always, like, there's the, in your group of, like, the adventuring heroes, like, there's the good guy rogue, and, like, he knows all the tricks. Like, he was the spy too once, but now he's clean.
Yeah.
And so, like, every once in a while, like, he'll be like, oh, I know a real quick trick. And you're just like, how do you know that? It's just like, don't worry about it.
We're not going to get into it. Yes, I agree with that.
So I feel like he's, which is, again, an amusing contrast to Abi.
I was thinking that.
So these two have a very interesting dynamic going on between the two of them.
They do.
Yeah. So, live stream comment compared to Sumo Prime Time.
Oh, we kind of already touched that a little bit. Just my point in that is there was some discussion about the Ura Tobizaru match.
Okay.
And I just want to say, like, that was my favorite match. Like, one without consequence. That was my most, like, I had the most fun watching that match. And I knew it was going to go the way it did. Like, that they were going to go back and forth between, like, from one end to the dohyo to the other. I knew they were going to be grabbing at each other. I knew that they were going to try crazy moves. And even the ending where Ura is just celebrating so hard, and you don't see that in sumo. It's not allowed.
Nope.
But it's allowed for Ura. And Tobizaru is smiling. It's like, I want to take this match and show it to everybody and say, hey, sumo's fun.
Bring him in, recruitment drive.
Yeah, I might use that as a recruitment video. I'm always trying to get people in.
Try to get more people in. All right, so this one's a little rough. Mega Share 3 West, Nishikifuji 3-12. Ow. So
rough.
Similar to Midorifuji, he's losing to all the people in Sanyaku. Here's Daieisho, here's Shodai, Kiribayama, Wakamotoharu, Hoshoryu. So, like, right there, he's like, if you want to go higher, and he does, and the techniques and the stuff that he's done, all reason to believe he can. We've got to worry about that. So I feel like either there's nerves, or there's injuries, or there's both.
Or drama.
Or drama. Well, I noticed there's some tape on him. Now, there's always tape on him, but, like...
Right, so there was that sort of tumultuous period of time in Isegahama, which has probably resolved itself. But in that time, something went wrong with Nishikifuji, and I wonder if could have been an injury then that's not healing, or it could have been like something was off with the training, but he hasn't been the same since. So there could be a building upon building of problems.
There's a struggle going on, and maybe compounding.
Yeah.
Also worth noting that he has the unfortunate privilege of having lost 2 Torinaoshi bouts. One against Shodai and one against Kiribayama. And the one against Kiribayama, I think the less that's said, the better, based on how Kiribayama was fighting.
Mm-hmm.
But so that sort of takes the wind out of your sails.
Yeah.
Because he was in it for both of those, but then loses it. So add that to whatever issues that he's having with injuries and stress and pressure. So he's got there's a rebuilding that needs to happen for him.
Rebuilding, exactly.
And now, fortunately, he's in a very good spot with the Fuji clan. So I feel like he has the tools. If it's injuries, then you just have to get healed. But, like, when it comes to, like, support and pressure, also, like,
training partners,
he gets to feed off the energy of everybody dressed up. Like, when they all had the outfits on and they're all behind Terunofuji, and like, hooray, hooray. Like, he was there. Midorifuji was there. Ochiai was there, which I found very interesting.
There were comments. So I was reading the comment sections, and I guess they're all part of the same group of staples, but people still said, why is Ochiai there? He's not. I'm telling you, they're throwing Ochiai every chance they get. They are banking on him to be huge. He just shows up in places that you wouldn't expect to see him constantly.
But so for Nishikifuji, we're starting to see the storm clouds. But
it can be fixed.
We're not concerned yet. We're just seeing there's adversity.
Correct.
We're seeing there's adversity. So, I still remember some of his late last year before a lot of this stuff started happening. A lot of like he would do like these frame perfect, like matching Terunofuji strength and technique, but like half the size. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa. So like I'm holding on to that image when I see him struggling like that, meaning like there's goodness in there that can be pulled out.
Right. It exists.
It exists. So hold on to that feeling. Speaking of goodness that most definitely exists, Ura, 7 and 8 in Mega Show 4 East, but we don't care. It's fine.
Yeah, he won't go too far.
Like I think he fought differently every single match.
He did. No two Ura matches look the same.
Some of the like sometimes like he would do like the same type of slapdown, but like how he got there was different, or what the enemy did to him was different. It was like I was going through it in my head. And I'm like, I think it was a new, fresh thing every single day, and like I don't know if anybody else is capable of doing that.
He's such a standout for a guy who is never going to reach, he's not going to be Sanyaku. He's not going to go for an Ozeki.
No.
He's still a star. He's still a standout.
Yeah.
The crowd goes wild every time he fights. There's just something about him that's so infectious. Like, I assume he'll be in sumo for a long time. Like,
Hopefully.
Even without wrestling, because he's an ambassador
He's a personality.
to sumo. He is. You need the personality, but he's also cool. Like those moves he pulls,
So slick.
the crazy flip the guy over his head. What is it, Hinari?
The Kimarite of the day. I always try to. It is called Zubunari Head Pivot Throw. This is how he beats Tobizaru.
That was so wild.
So Tobizaru is holding onto his neck, and then Ura just shakes the hand off, and that's what causes Tobizaru to go down.
Only Ura could do that.
And
move.
then the stagger, and then he staggers back, and then he just collapses down out of exhaustion. He's like, I didn't. It's only Ura can have this kind of positive energy.
He has he gets the crowd going the way Enho used to. Enho was very exciting when he was in his like prime, peak condition. And as soon as he dropped down, Ura started to come up, and he's just replaced that energy.
Taking the mantle. So, interestingly enough, a lot of his losses were getting blasted out, which we're talking about the decline of the pusher thrusters. That is the thing. So, like, Abi woke up and did that. And then some people who don't normally push and thrust, I mean, with the exception of Terunofuji ripping his arms off, but that's just Terunofuji.
Yeah.
So, if Ura can work on the sturdiness a little bit, he may start turning some of these around.
We know what it is. The guys know that they don't want Ura coming anywhere near any
push.
of their body parts.
Yep. So they're all trying to keep him away.
Exactly. But, so that's why Ura tries to go under a lot.
Oh, he's so low.
Right.
He's so low.
It's funny because if you watch that in an anime, it's like, he disappeared. Where did he go?
Where did he go? He cannot be seen.
Exactly. And that's kind of what he tries to do. But a really good pusher thruster, he's like, nah, you're done. Yeah, I'm going to blast you out. You are not touching me.
Yeah. And again, the way all this messes down here, I feel like they're not going to move him much, so we just get to do this all over again in July.
Yep, he gets a do-over.
Same people, same actors.
We're going to have another Tobizaru Ura match. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. These two people, they're going to have at each other until the end of time.
It's going to be beautiful.
So, there were a few what I'll call veteran surprises this tournament.
For sure.
In addition to everything else going on. And Nishikigi is one of them. Megashira 4 West, 9 and 6. So week 1, like we had mentioned this, week 1, it just looked like he was just not having his time. That he just hit his ceiling again, and his reactions were slower, uncharacteristically bad footwork, like he's leaving his feet behind and getting dragged around. And then he wakes up on day 8, and he says, I'm done with this. I hate everybody, and I'm going to destroy them all. And he did! And he starts it out against Wakamotoharu by just smothering him and out Wakamotoharuing him. It was wild.
And I'm pretty sure when he took out Takakeisho, what day is that? Is that
day 9?
Takakeisho was like 6 and 3. So Takakeisho was like doing okay considering. And I would actually say that Nishikigi was the one who took like the last wind out of his sails.
Well, this is one of those you can't lose this fights that he lost for Takakeisho.
Right, it's like, okay,
so this started some real trouble.
And it gave Nishikigi like some more juice.
Yeah. So I had mentioned before that Shodai sort of had his prime attacks where he did the smother and he just ran people out. He did that to Nishikigi, but Nishikigi wasn't having it.
He's like, yeah, nice try.
So like this is Shodai basically at near Ozeki level sumo, and Nishikigi reverses and chucks him out. Mitakeumi's hot and cold. We'll talk about that in a bit. But Mitakeumi, who wants to win today, still loses to Nishikigi. So this is so wild.
It is, because we've been giving him, a lot of props leading up to this.
Bit. Yeah, we're like, and then he starts struggling. He hits his ceiling. It's that the veterans, they sort of have that where's the ceiling
You're
thing.
Expecting failure at some point, and then he just defies it all and says, "No, I'm going to show you."
This second week, I have no way of figuring this out outside of the fact that and there was that look, that seriousness on his face. It was like he'd walk away and just like, yeah, I might have just killed somebody, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It was so killer.
It was
I loved
crazy.
He was so into it, dialed in, the focus, the crispness of the sumo. Oh, man.
And then he doesn't scrape by. He gets a 9 and 6.
He does. Like, scraping by is that he just 8 wins in a row and just Kachikoshis right out of him. Oh, my goodness.
Beautiful stuff.
I don't know if we'll see it again. I hope we do.
Right, this could be the last.
It was so funky. Now, what's also worth noting is that he's not going to get over promoted, but where are you going to put him? Like, there you go, right there.
Exactly.
Right there.
He's got a spot all ready for him.
So he's going to get the work put out of him in July. He's going to get put to task.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be like, oh, you think you're such a good tough guy, huh? Let's see how you do with these guys.
So it's like on one hand you're like, ooh, it's going to be rough, and on the other hand,
you don't know
where did this come from? Does he have more?
He might.
Is he going to be Sanyaku when we're not looking?
I could see it. I mean, Tamawashi did a late Sanyaku push.
The possibilities are endless.
You got to love the surprises.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is a surprise. I feel like some of this is a little bit of ogre eagerness by the Sumo Association. But Kinbozan, Megashira 5 East, 4-11, not quite ready for the Shark Tank, I don't think. I feel like they wanted it. He was 11-4, 10-5. I think he was 11-4. And looking like he belonged in the top division. And they're like, let's throw him in. And no.
Didn't work out.
No, not because Kinbozan was bad, but because he still needs to figure out the top division. He is not.
He was completely overwhelmed.
Out of his depth. I would say there were a couple of matches that he looked like confused. Like,
or scared.
Scared. Like, didn't know how to handle it. When he fought, he was fighting Nishikifuji, which we just talked about how he has all these problems. Nishikifuji is advancing on him, like upgrading the belt work, driving, and this is a guy who's not really doing that well this tournament. And Kinbozan, like his hand, like it goes from the front to the back to the front, like he doesn't.
Like, what do I do?
I don't know what to do. It's not baked in yet.
Yeah,
and
you need the muscle memory.
And also, like keep in mind for somebody like him, it's the mentality is not only are you in the big lights, big city. But now you're fighting the best. Now you're fighting Terunofuji.
And he got called out in the practice to fight Terunofuji.
So the pressure, the intensity of what's going on here, it's outside of his expectations. So like in that moment, like when that stuff happens to you, like when you're doing sports, any sort of like active, like your mind just goes.
Yeah.
And so then you're on instinct. And so he's trying to figure that out while this is happening. Too much.
He looked absolutely terrified fighting Terunofuji. It was kind of like, let's just get this done.
So, I don't, this is going to knock him down, but I feel like it's going to put him to the place he should have been anyway.
Right, that's all it does.
I expect him to be back up here.
Yeah.
And the next time he's back up here, it's when he's ready for it.
Right, he'll be a different fighter.
When he's different, when he's able to better use his size. Now, he did get 4 wins up here. He did beat Mitakeumi. Now Mitakeumi didn't want to win that day, but and he did technically beat Takakeisho.
Very technically.
Very, by the strictest definition of the word. And so rays of possible hope. He didn't 0-15.
Yeah.
He did not Terunofuji. So there's that at least, that he was able to scrape something by. I am still looking forward to what he has to bring. I still like the little bit of sumo out of him that we were able to see before the panic set in. I would say just shake it off. This happened to Koto Echo a while back too, when they over promoted him, and then they were just like, "No, you're down." Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're human beings, and if you're not ready mentally, you're just not ready. It's just not going to work out for you. So we'll forget this all happened. We'll go to July. We'll be like, oh, great, you've only been here for 2 tournaments. Let's say you do the second time.
Right, exactly.
It just never happened.
The nice thing, though, about getting promoted that high is that we know he's going to be okay. He'll still be in Maegashira.
Yeah. He'll be 7, 8, 9. It'll be fine. I'm not worried at all. And he'll rally back again. Like, he came in like when the pressure was worse in the very beginning.
That's true.
So he's fine. Guys, I'm not worried about Kinbozan. He'll be back. He'll be roaring. He'll be in Sanyaku in a year.
Oh, I mean, I'll clip that.
Okay.
So if he's there, I'll be blasting that all over the place.
I like it. That's the confidence I have in him.
All right.
Kotoshoho. Oh boy. Back to Debbie Downers. 2-10-3. Clearly injured. Fighting against himself as well as the other person. Able to get one win off of poor Kinbozan before he just loses and gets thrashed and thrown to the ground and eating dirt. And then right here, I'm like, okay, he's gone. Thank God he gets the rest. And then he does what Takayasu did and comes back for no reason.
To be fair, though, he was going up against 2 other very injured guys, so maybe he knew who he was going to be facing?
Maybe.
I mean, you could give it a shot. Like, Takafuji's in bad shape and Takayasu.
I mean, now, it's the same mentality for both of these guys that they're just hoping to scrape something by, that they're like, I think I'm good enough to take a hack at it. Not that they're going to do good, but they just feel like they've got a chance at it. And it is good for somebody where there's confidence issues and maybe a little bit of trying to get your head out of the forest of uncertainty. The act of coming back, knowing you're going to get your ass kicked, there is a positive energy to that, even though I will say reckless and stupid. At least he's coming back. At least he's not saying, I think I'm well enough to go, but it doesn't matter. It's not good.
Right. Maybe he needs to have some fights to end the tournament versus like going into a new tournament with nothing.
Yeah. So, just with Takakeisho, just as with Takayasu, seeing this makes me upset. I'm worried for their health. I feel like it's an unnecessary risk that we shouldn't do it.
In particular with Kotoshoho, who we can now say there's a pattern of injury.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am going to take whatever positive I can out of this, which is that Kotoshoho, he came back. He wanted to push a little harder, so he's still trying to fight. Maybe not himself, but his body. He's not the mental things. He's trying to keep the momentum that got him up here. Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out.
For both of these guys, I'm sort of just like, forget this all happened. I'm just going to talk to you in July.
Right. It's another one of those like, forget this, clean slate.
Clean slate. July, fresh and new as a daisy. And hot and humid too.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about this complicated, beautiful mess.
What a mess.
Beautiful. It's stunning. Maegashira 60, State and 7 Meisei. A lot to unpack here. Only person to beat Terunofuji, and that's what got him a special prize.
Mm-hmm. First one, at least of that type. I don't know if he's ever gotten the other one. What did he get? The technique prize?
He got the outstanding performance.
This is his first outstanding performance award.
They saw this, and then they saw this, and they're like, he's got it figured out.
I mean, he was looking great.
Yeah. So, yeah, fighting Mitakeumi, Kinbozan, it sort of counts. The fight against Hokuseiho was legendary.
That was one where, like, it could have went either way.
It was so good.
And if it had gone towards a win, maybe the things that happened at the end don't happen.
Yeah, so very fiery, beautiful first week. Sanayama gets the better of him. I'm like, okay, fine. Then, like you said, then Abi gets them knees busted, and then the rest of this. So to be fair, what are you going to do against a Prime Daieisho? But what are you going to do against a Kotonowaka? But still, I feel like he was robbed a little bit.
He was robbed at the end. And I think that's part of why they gave him a little bit the prize as well. I mean, you can get the prize just for beating the Yokozuna and the person who won the Yusho. But they could have easily snatched it away as well because he got an 8 and 7. They
So
could have made a contingent.
yeah.
They were already giving it to him regardless of the last match.
Well, I think the minimum that you have to do is get a Kachikoshi, which he already had,
Yeah.
and he got his Kachikoshi off of Terunofuji. So okay. So I feel like this is the Meisei that we were hoping would show up,
And then he gets hurt.
and then he gets hurt. And like I feel like the way he was fighting here, like, might have been better than when he was in Sanyaku.
It was.
The because it felt like everything clicked. It wasn't like just his speed. It wasn't just the technique. It was the pace he put on people. It was I am going to be working at this and I'm going to outwork everybody who's in front of me. Mm-hmm. And it was that little extra something. And we said for Meisei, like, there's something there. He's going to need it. So he saw it and then he just, ugh.
The hard part for Meisei is a very rough style.
Yes.
So it can bring about injuries. You know, it's actually in a way, it's a different style, but where there's a similarity between him and Takakeisho. They're so concerned about just outputting all of their power and being in it and fighting and proving something that they just put so much in that they get hurt. And Meisei has now, we can say he has a pattern of injury as well.
Yeah. There was the
And it's from trying too hard. You know, that's the worst thing.
I feel like the secret trick to doing well in sumo is not to have knees.
Apparently. Like, everybody should just have bionic knees.
Just get those blade things. Let's go.
Yeah.
Everybody cut off your legs. All right. But, so, this is me, like, praying. Like, I try not to pray too much to the sumo gods because they're fickle and sometimes they just read your prayer and do the opposite thing.
Right, just stab you.
I am praying to the sumo gods. Let Meisei keep whatever he brought into May with him. Let him hold on to this. Let him build from this week one beautiful thing. I feel like if you're looking at Terunofuji's 14-1, you're looking at that, you're looking at him holding the cup, and you're thinking, I got him. Mm-hmm. That alone, I feel like, should get you through the dark and stormy nights.
Exactly. Like, if you can heal quickly, then just remember that.
And then if he focuses on this, how well he fought, just the way he just dominated people, just hold on to that. Yeah. Keep that with you, and he'll be a little bit promoted highly due to his tenure and due to the mess above him. So he'll be fighting the very best in week one, and that's when we're going to see how he's able to pit up against this dreaded Sanyaku.
Do you think they'll give him a little extra push for an 8 and 7 than they would normally? Because we have all the mess.
Look at this. Like, he's in, this higher, this higher.
Like, could they put him to 3?
Maybe to 3. Now we do have Mitakeumi is going up, but then if you look at it, look at this mess.
It is a mess.
Struggle in the middle.
But so know what? That's where the struggle belongs. So.
Yes, it's fine to see this a very clean result. Mm-hmm. For some things, but so it's going to be really rough because all these people he fought in the second week before, he's going to be fighting in the first week in July. Right. So he's going to get his rough pass right out the gate, but that's going to let us know if this pace putting Meisei is going to be what, because he needs to beat those guys to get higher. So we're going to find out week one.
Right, we don't have to guess. It's like either he gets destroyed and it's like, okay, he's not up to snuff, or he beats everybody and now he has all the easy competition at the end.
Yes.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes. So lots of murky, weird feelings for Meisei going into July, but we're just so glad to at least have that hope to get crushed.
Yeah, we just love getting our hope crushed around here.
This is a prime hope to crush. All right. So anyway, Mitakeumi, Megashira 6 West 9 and 6. I was wrapping my brain around this for the longest time. I'm like, what is going on with him? Some days he's there, some days he's not. Some days it looks like he was never left Ozeki. Other days it looks like you don't believe he was Ozeki. And I realized, I had that one of those like eureka moments, the light bulb went up. I'm just like, he is the new Snorlax.
I agree with that.
Unfortunately, Ichinojo is no longer with us, but his spirit of...
He passed on the Snorlax.
He passed the Snorlax on, and now Mitakeumi has selflessly, just with benevolence and grace, inherited this on and off sumo moniker. So he is now the new Snorlax for me because it is so true. It is like, does he like whether or not he wins? It feels like it's just up to whether he wants to win. Like not whether or not he can. It's just like he shows up today. It's just like
I'm not in the mood.
Not in the mood. I don't really want to win today. So he wins in very different ways. So like against Ura, he doesn't blast him out. He catches Ura off the Tachiai, and as soon as Ura tries to do something about it, he reads it and he throws him out. And then against Sadonoumi, he knows Sadonoumi wants to get inside, so he just blocks him and then just does a perfect Supari to knock him out.
Right, and that's how Supari should be used.
Yes. And then he sees Daieisho, and first off eats Daieisho's Tachiai, and then he gets inside. So he's fighting people based on where their weaknesses are. He's dismantling them in the way that he did when he was career Sanyaku, and then what got him into Ozeki. Mm-hmm. And then there are days that he just gets grabbed, and then he just
gets walked out.
And then like he'll do like it's sort of just like I need to do something, and like he takes the belt, he gives it one grip up, and then he steps out.
I know, it's so weird.
I was just like, okay, it would have been better if you did nothing, but the fact you did something, it's just like I have to. It's like government regulations is that I do one resistance at the edge and then I can leave. Boop.
Yeah, and it's like because today I woke up and I'm like I don't feel like it today.
And so what's also weird about it is that it's a different issue from the pressure he was getting trying to get to Ozeki, and it was different from the pressure he felt when he was Ozeki. Mm-hmm. Like the way his sumo was. So now he's in this weird post Ozeki Snorlax mentality.
Like where am I going?
And I had mentioned this, like we'd mentioned this with Shodai, that when we were we used Mitakeumi as a reference for how Shodai was going to handle things.
Yes.
So Mitakeumi went into Kadoban and then struggled and couldn't get out. And then Shodai struggled to get out. And then Mitakeumi completely fell off. And then Shodai completely fell off. And this is where their paths diverge.
Right.
Because then Shodai sort of just like, I'm free! And then he goes back to doing really good sumo and is back up to Sanyaku. Now he'll be back down, but I feel like he'll be sort of jumping up and down for a little while until either he figures something out or he doesn't. But for Mitakeumi, like the mental, like it feels like there's a new mental struggle that has begun. Because I felt like I believe he wanted Ozeki. I feel like in some part of him he wanted Yokozuna.
Right, and it might be like kind of a depression thing.
And so when he fell out of Ozeki, there's got to be some part of him that's just like, this is beyond me. So there is that crushing realization that will hit you.
Yeah. And then it's like, why am I here?
Yeah, like for me, I'm internalizing it. Like every once in a while, I'll be like, I can't do that with my life anymore. I'm done. Mm-hmm. This is beyond me. Like I will never be really good at this one thing that I like. It's just, I've passed my prime. It's not going to happen for me anymore. Now I just have to make do.
Right.
Like, that can mess with your head.
Very badly.
Very badly. And so, like, for Mitakeumi, it's not that he can't do the fighting. It's not that he doesn't know how to win. It's just it's the Snorlax.
Right. There is a desire factor.
There's a desire there. And maybe this is something he can work through. And going back to the original Snorlax, Ichinojo had figured it out.
Oh, yeah. And, I found out that Ichinojo actually was promoted immediately and, was one of the guys who didn't even have time to grow a top knot.
He was an Ochiai?
What's that?
He was like an Ochiai?
He was like an Ochiai.
Yeah.
Him and Endo, apparently. And so, here's Ichinojo coming right out of the gate, and, he is the man. And then just stuff goes wrong. There's a little bit of that in Mitakeumi where it's like, all the potential is there, but without the desire, I mean, you gotta, and this is not criticizing him. I could understand it. There's, like you said, there's certain things in life where it's like, I realize I actually can't do that as much as I wanted it, and now I'm letting it go.
This is the human factor.
The human factor.
So I'm like, it would be great to see Mitakeumi figure this out, and when he's on. When he gets the Ozeki face on, I'm like, oh, he's here. It's exciting. It's a positive moment when you're watching Mitakeumi.
But you can't see it 15 days straight. Although July is coming up, and that is his tournament. Maybe he's just going to show up.
Whenever you sleep on Mitakeumi, that's when he wins the cup. Yeah. How crazy would it be if he gets a fourth one?
Exactly. He has 3 cups.
Yeah. He'll be, and also he'll be Megashira at 3. He'll be hanging out there with Meisei.
Yeah.
And then, like, at that first week, he's sort of just like, Kotonowaka, I hate this guy. I'm just going to throw him.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood to lose today.
I don't want it. Shodai, I beat him once, I'll beat him again,
Exactly.
And then he goes to Daieisho. He's just like, you're not getting Ozeki.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You're not worth it.
You know
and then
what?
he's 4-0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's just like, you know what? If I can't be Ozeki, neither can you.
Yeah. Can you see him just headhunting the entire Sanyaku?
I could.
He's just like, no one's Ozeki anymore.
You know what? I'm going to ruin all of your dreams.
I'm ruining it. I'm just going to crush it into the dirt with my foot. And then I'm 10-0 because you blunk.
And then I'm going to win a Yusho and say, I guess I can.
Yeah.
Then whatever. Just another day.
I didn't actually want it, but I guess I got it anyway.
Exactly.
Just rub it.
Yeah. I mean, anything is possible with him.
Would be beautiful. If that actually happens...
I throw my hands up.
I don't know anymore.
I will stop trying to predict sumo if that happens.
The weird. I can't. I gotta move on. I can't live with that.
It's getting
reality.
too crazy.
It's a little too weird now. I'm spun out. Here, let me start getting depressed. That'll ground me.
Oh, good. We have the perfect guy for you.
My pathos has arrived. Negashira 7Es, Hokutofuji 6-9. So I think everything that I feel about the way Hokutofuji's been fighting lately is in the Midorifuji loss. So Midorifuji is somebody who he could probably push out if he really could, but he can't do it anymore. Yeah. So he pushes him, and Midorifuji holds him in the middle, and then Midorifuji starts driving. And then Hokutofuji tries for this ill-advised arm lock, which looks like this is the kind of arm lock that for somebody like Hokutofuji, if he got that to work, he would just chuck this guy into the stands like a rag doll. But the technique was all wrong, and he sort of just like rubs up against Midorifuji, and then he's off balance, and Midorifuji pushes him out. That's where Hokutofuji is these days, and it sucks.
Well, he fell into the bad category of, pusher thruster primarily. But he's taken a lot of damage. I was watching sumo with some friends who I'm trying to get into it. I'm also trying to promote, and they look at Hokutofuji, it's like he looks smaller, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
He's losing his power. He's losing his size. The knees, the injuries are starting to hit up with him.
He's the guy who, when he goes in the car accident, he doesn't walk out of it unscathed.
He limps out. Yeah, and so he, like a lot of these older pusher thrusters, are hitting this point that they're not able to output their power and they're not able to do something else. Or the ones that can do something else are the ones that are doing well. See Daieisho.
Yeah.
So he's in this spot that he's going to start tumbling, and I don't know if he'll be able to figure it out. Maybe he can do the veteran hold for a little while, but he is lost at sea.
He is. It's sad to watch the decline.
Yeah. This is not to say that he doesn't have the power.
But he can't output it consistently.
Like, he got out Mitoru. Mitoru is like 400-something pounds. So, like, that's dude he's moving. And, does better than Takanosho, which is kind of worse for Takanosho, actually.
Yeah, that's more of a comment on Takanosho.
Yeah, but, like, it's just like he's still there. He's still trying every single day. The low push upwards with immense power. It's just the immense is... It's losing its immensity.
The truth that you have put out there is just devastating. It's that he can't.
Dude, he can't. He can't.
It hurts.
Yeah, reality hurts now. But
we like to kick reality out every once in a while.
Bit. So, July is a fresh start for everybody. Hokutofuji is his footwork, I'll say, is better than most. So maybe he'll get a few slippy otoshis his way. Mm-hmm. And it's just that every basho is an opportunity for him to work on that. Again, he's the fact that he goes for the arm lock throw, that he goes for the belt.
He's trying something.
Who knows if it'll ever work or he'll ever catch on? But like Tobizaru. Tobizaru came in the beginning. He was just all wild and trick, and now he's doing this belt stuff like he always has been. So there's the hope that something comes out of this before it's too late.
Yeah.
Anyway, a little bit more Debbie Downer, but slightly less when we go over.
Not as terrible.
Not as terrible. For Tamawashi, Megashira 7 West, 7-8. Now, similar to Hokutofuji, you can definitely tell the power's starting to fade. I don't know. I feel like the injuries are starting to catch up to him a little bit.
That's it. I mean, he was doing great up until March. And then he gets injured in March, and he's just not the same.
It's not the same. So, for Tamawashi, he does have the veteran's advantage. He's able to do some ring edge throws that he's good at. He's able to do some deflections, some plan B, some parries. So Tamawashi has a bigger bag of tricks. And so that's why he was 7-6 and then loses out here, which is a little unfortunate. But good news for Tobizaru, that was the Darwin match. Good news for Myogiryu, who we're going to see for another tournament.
Who is desperately trying to prove that he still belongs here.
Yeah. They're both long in the tooth. But, yeah, for Tamawashi, it's another example of injuries catching up, losing power, slowing down.
He is the oldest man.
He's the oldest man. I would accredit this to the injuries that he's been, for the most part, successful in avoiding up until recently. Less than him finally losing his stride. I feel like it's just he's a bit of a struggle. And with the 7 and 8, he'll be mostly fine. Yeah. Mostly fine. So not too worried yet.
But we're just starting to notice a trend.
Yes. So this time last year, he was blasting people. This. He was on the way up to Sanyaku. He was crushing people into the backwards letter C with his Nodoa. Just,
Yeah, even that has lost some potency.
It has. People can resist it now. So it's like, well, what do you got? Now, for he does have the bag of tricks, and that's got him 7 wins, but he needs, the bag of tricks can only get you so far.
Exactly.
So, next up, Sadonoumi. Oh, man, this whole stretch. Megashira 80, 7 and 8. So, he has not had a Kachikoshi in 2023.
Not a good sign.
So, he came into 2023 near the top, that revitalized veteran sumo, crisp, fun. He had the Dark Horse, I think, in September, that he was 11-4, and he almost ran away with it, and it was absolutely wild, and we loved him for it. But that power and the urgency, just that 6-month branch, it's starting to fade.
Yep.
He's losing it. So he's still throwing dudes. He's still getting good wins, but it feels like for every time he traps somebody and chucks them, somebody traps him back.
Yeah.
He's falling into as many traps as he's setting now. And that's like the sign. It's the Okinomi sign that I'm getting.
Yep.
That
he might not be too far behind.
So the hope is, initially the hope was, okay, he's falling down, then he'll figure it out. But like now he's losing to Ryuden, right? He's losing to Koto Echo. He's losing to Chiyoshoma. That's bad losses.
Yeah.
That is fading losses, not just give me a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then who's he winning against? Nishikifuji, Aoyama, Kinbozan, Takarafuji. People worse off. You don't want that struggle.
Right, because eventually either those guys will be gone.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Aoyama might actually be gone. Takarafuji might actually be gone. Ryuden, these people are going to be in the blender about to be thrown down in Juryo. And you know who's coming up to Juryo? The reckoning that will smash this entire top division.
They might just come in and just eliminate all of the old guys.
This is his problem right now. You don't want to be near the bottom of the list in July, buddy.
No, you don't.
You don't. You want to be up there where it's safe. You want to be on the other side of the blender. This is like
that's a good point.
Said this before, and it is the truest thing. The struggle is in the middle. Mm-hmm. This right here, these people are like, if you look at them, these are the people they have nowhere to run. They are trapped deer. If you go too high up, they're the Sanyaku who want to be Ozeki. You go too far down,
you got the new hot shots.
You got the new hot shots who want to be Ozeki.
Yeah,
you're stuck, buddy. Sadonoumi, you are in a bad spot.
He's in a really
7
bad
and
spot.
8. If you can't get a win off of Koto Echo and Chiyoshoma, you're not getting one off of Ochiai. You're not getting one off of Atami Fuji.
Gonoyama.
Oh, hang on a minute. What guy's name? Shonanoumi.
Yeah, I almost forgot about him because I was fixated on the.
A lot of people forgot about him. He's 11-4. He's gonna kick some butt. Oh God! Shozan maybe coming back.
There's some monsters, that are coming.
A storm is coming.
Yeah.
The tornado warning has been fired off.
They better stay healthy. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about him. I'm worried about Sadonoumi.
They're coming. They're
I'm
coming
becoming
for him.
attached for him, and now it's sort of like it's the in Jurassic Park, it's like, where'd the goat go?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what's gonna happen. All these people. I'm scared to death for Megashira 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyway, I'm not done being scared yet. Takanosho 7 and 8, Megashira 8 West.
He's too young for retirement, so his problems are very troubling.
He is too young to die. So he had some fun when he fought Tamawashi. There was the double fall, like he threw him and then fell himself, and like they did the synchronized falling with hilarious, fun stuff. Super heavily bandaged foot, like mummified foot. Something going on with that leg, that foot, that ankle. That's going on. So as I mentioned, he lost to Hokutofuji. You should not be losing to Hokutofuji. Mm-hmm. He lost to Daieisho. You do not get outpowered by Daieisho if you're a former Sanyaku.
Exactly. Who he is, he shouldn't be losing.
He is a shell of himself. We've been saying this for a while, but really, like this loss and this loss to me are just like he is not who he used to be. He is a ghost.
And you wonder if he can ever get back.
Not the way he's fighting now.
Doesn't seem like it's possible.
Do you see this Takanosho thrusting out Bushozan? Do you see this guy dealing with Ochiai? Nuh-uh.
I see Takanosho like becoming career Juryo man before you know it.
Yeah, that's the reality of this. He needs to, and again, like if it's chronic injury, if it's some mental issues, if there's some stuff going on at home, you're not fixing that.
No, you have to be able to overcome. But we know there's injury. We know there's been injuries. Injury. But once again, here's another pusher thruster.
Pusher thrusters are not there. That is going out of style.
It's going out of style, and those guys are getting decimated.
We're losing them by the batch, the truckload. They're just all falling apart. Mm-hmm. Right. So, good news for pusher thrusters. We're going to flip the script on this one with Onosho, Megashira 9 East, who, despite being an injured wreck, gets 8 wins.
Yeah, this is a new side to him.
So, similar energy to Meisei, I give to Onosho, that we were looking for that something that they didn't have. Mm-hmm. And so Onosho came into it, like we were so upset because he had it and then he got injured in March, and then he comes into May with those bandaged knees and is not at full strength, still figuring something out. This guy's momentum to live and die up until now, and he's just like, I make my own momentum now. Mm-hmm. It was great.
He tasted something before the injury.
So, yeah, so go, Eric, go.
No, I was just going to say, he tasted something before the injury that stayed with him through the injury.
So, prior to this, let's say 6 months ago, if Mitakeumi wants to Henka Onosho, if anybody wants to Henka Onosho, he falls in. I think I had mentioned this exact thing.
Yes.
Mitakeumi tries to Henka Onosho. Onosho does a thigh grab throw.
Yeah.
On Mitakeumi.
Which was insane.
I saw that. I'm like, whoa.
That's like not Onosho. Not the Onosho I know.
No, at all. He goes against Tamawashi. Both of these guys, neither of them have power. It's super awkward to see two push thrusters go against each other and they sort of bounce off each other.
Yeah.
He does a body lock and he runs Tamawashi out. This is the kind of stuff, like we were saying, you have that solid plan B as a pusher thruster, then you're a double threat.
Sometimes adversity can work in your favor. Does. And I hope that is the case for Onosho.
So for Meisei, it felt like it struck home really, like the knife went deep for both of us, because we knew that Meisei finally had that spark. He was on the Yusho race, and then it all fell apart. But for Onosho, it's that same spark, but there was we're just like, okay, he's injured, he's getting healing. Also, Onosho's done this to us before, to be fair, that it looked like he had it and he fell off. So a more measured hope for him. And so if he comes into July and he doesn't have big mummy bandages on his knees, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Because he doesn't want to be hanging out with Ochiai either.
He's done. No. So like there was like this aura of, okay, I'm actually going to do this coming out of that 8 and 7.
Yeah. No, I think
there was something different.
There is something different, and I hope he capitalizes on that.
Me too. So, Hiradoumi, Megashira, Mine West, 9 and 6. He's turning into my new favorite. I am looking forward to him fighting.
I understand why you say that.
as somebody who like, if your sumo spirit shines as brightly as Hiradoumi, like I will be drawn to you like a moth to flame.
Mm-hmm.
I was so like, I knew this was happening to me because this four right here, he was 7-2. And they give him a Sanayama, and then they give him Kiribayama, and then they give him Tsurugisho, who's doing marvelously well. This arguably was a valid fight. Then they give him Hoshoryu. At this point, he was 9-5. He was already out of he was 7-5. He's already out of the Yusho race. And they give him Hoshoryu. I'm just like, you bastards.
Right. Why did you do
that? And that was the
that?
moment that I realized I was turning into a Hiradoumi fan. Because I had a visceral moment of anger when I saw him go against Hoshoryu. He's like, you're not going to beat Hoshoryu. Not yet.
You're not there yet.
Later, but not now. But the thing is that they did this to him because he was 9-2 right here.
Right. They wanted to see what he could do.
He was 9-2. He's beating everyone else. And then again, his only losses are to the top of the heap and this magical Tsurugisho who
was beating people.
Was like this Tsurugisho and this Nishikigi. I have no answer. I cannot explain this to you people. I don't know what they did.
Something very bizarre.
Something very beautiful, fascinating glimmer of something that I don't know if it's going to happen again, but I'm so glad I was here for when it did. So he had to deal with that. But yeah, look at all this. Like the only people he lost to was Hokuseiho and then Ryuden, and Ryuden got his belt. That's it. And then the rest of it, he's just thrashing people.
He's got that Dark Horse vibe that we had with Meisei and Daieisho before they really started making their push.
Yeah. He also has the Ura slinky spine.
Yes, he does.
He like the defense on him. And there are some people like their defense is almost more important than their offense. But the thing is that he can switch between the two.
Right,
and that's what's so good about it.
It depends on the match as to what brilliance you're going to see.
Exactly.
Like, is it an awesome defensive move, or does he just pull out some crazy throw?
Did he just get so aggressive that he just suffocates somebody?
Right.
There's a lot going on here that's very promising and hopeful.
But I think, like you were saying, it's going to take a little time.
A little bit. He is the Kiribayama.
Yeah, he's a slow go.
He's a builder.
Yes.
He doesn't surge.
Yeah.
There's no nitrous in that car.
Yeah.
But he's still going to get there.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out for him. I feel like he's finally starting to make his run. Now, if you get
July should be interesting.
You get rid of this Ryuden loss, you get rid of this Hokuseiho loss.
It's a different picture.
Then
you're talking 11.
But like we got people higher up that are still working on these four. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
right.
One problem at a time. One problem at a time for him. We'll get through this. And now here comes this. Here comes the pain train.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain.
There's a lot of pain going on. And so this is part of where the bottom of the Banzuke is a little bit cleaner than it used to be, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And that they're like the people going up, we know it. And the people going down, we know it.
Like I said, the balance was restored for one tournament.
Yep. It did feel that way. Ryuden, Megashira 10, he's 5-10. So he suffered the people who weren't supposed to be there because he lost to Sanayama and he lost to Hokuseiho. Both of those people should. So those are two losses on him that are just
that he was going to have no matter what.
He was handed them.
Yeah,
that sucks. So people know that if Ryuden doesn't get your belt, you beat him. So they're fighting him a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Ura syndrome, but Ryuden's huge.
Right.
It's the Enho. It's the weird reverse Enho, and that they all know there's one thing he does really well. If you take that away from him, that's it for him.
Yep.
Now that being said, when he fought Onosho and he fought Sadonoumi, those are both force-out wins. Particularly impressive against Onosho.
Right.
Because this was an Onosho who didn't want to deal with this anymore.
Right.
He wants to. So that is a props to him that he's able to use the veteran sense and get some physical push-out, force-out stuff. But a lot of these losses all go down to I keep you off my belt and then I win. So this is so.
You don't want to be figured out like that.
He got figured out, which sucks because when he had that surge coming up, he was grabbing everyone's belt. He was wrecking. He was just bear traps for hands, tearing them out, throwing them out, and then here comes everybody. Like the other 41 people all got into a room and were like, "Okay, this Ryuden guy, we gotta
watch the tape."
Okay, everybody get together. It's movie time. And then they all and then he grabbed the belt and then they all pointed. They're like, "He got the belt again." So.
Yeah,
it's a bit rough. It's a bit of a spark and fade. So he's technically safe. because there's enough people below him that did worse.
But he's going to go down pretty far, and he's not going to be safe tournament after that.
So, yeah, if these people, if Tamawashi's keeping him off the belt, if Takanosho is keeping him off the belt, you think Ochiai's going to...
Yeah, I mean...
This is my answer to every single person down here. It's like, do you think Ochiai will X?
Exactly.
And if I don't have a strong feeling about that...
I mean, Ochiai is a monster. He looks like he should already be...
It's going to be fun to watch him just tear this place up.
There is an outside chance he doesn't get promoted, like that they put him up to Jury 01. You don't think so?
He's promoted. He is so... There are 4 people gone.
Yeah.
So... Really, the question is, do you promote Bushozan? That is the only question.
Right, and he had a Yusho equivalent.
He was 10-5. That's the double.
No, I'm talking about Ochiai has a Yusho.
Yeah, he's up. He's up.
So he should be.
There was no discussion.
I mean, people were discussing it, but I'm like, I don't think there is a discussion.
Even if it wasn't Ochiai, Yusho equivalent where he is, he's up.
Yeah.
You're fine. It's not even a discussion. Yeah. If he was 13-2, he's Ochiai. He's up.
Right.
So, I will personally be shocked if he's not in the top division in July.
Yeah.
Baffled.
I would expect him to be, for sure.
Particularly, like you had mentioned, that there is a push for
He's
Ochiai.
like showing up everywhere.
They want him to go places. So anyway, Ryuden, bad news. You got a storm coming. Also bad news for Takarafuji. The same storm is coming for him at Megashira 10 West 5-10.
He's been holding out for a long time now.
So his fight against Midorifuji basically told me everything that I need to know about Takarafuji. I've never been so scared of a Torinaoshi in my whole life.
I know, right?
Lots of Torinaoshis this tournament. I don't know if I said that before. So the two of these guys do a lean fight for 2 minutes. In fairness to Takarafuji, he was the one trying to advance position. There was a lot of leaning and not a whole lot of sumo going on.
Yeah.
And then they both go out at the same time. They call a redo. And I'm like, no!
They're not going to survive.
No, they're both going to lose somehow. It'll be a double loss. And then Midorifuji does a winded henka because he has nothing left. And Takarafuji's able to run away with it. But, so, early on, these two matches here... By the way, he beat Hokuseiho early on. This was a spirited Takarafuji, but I feel like he can only fight so many days.
That's what it is. There's only so much in the tank.
It's only so much.
What's interesting about the Hokuseiho fight is, as much of a monster as Ochiai is, some of these guys in the early days might be able to capitalize on the nerves and the lack of experience. And Takarafuji is the type who could do that.
He was calm, cool, and collected under pressure, and some part of him is just like, not him.
Yeah. Not going to let the young guy do it.
And so a lot of this... So this was an amusing fight at the end because both of these guys were in a bad spot. But Takarafuji's just like, no, I'm going on a high note.
Right. Ichinojo is going to get dumped.
So for Takarafuji, there's a couple... Yeah, he's gone. It's sad. But Takarafuji, it was like, there was only a few days he could fight. And then the rest of the days, it was just whatever he can manage. Yeah. And that's where he is right now. It sucks.
It does. It's like we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Just like this is like the Tochinoshin problem.
Yeah.
We know it's coming. We just don't know when it's finally going to be enough. Very, very soon, Takarafuji's not going to be able to keep doing this.
There's a storm coming, Takarafuji. You may get just 5 losses handed to you in July.
Yeah. All those guys.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do against going? Let's look at the. Gonoyama's not gonna have time for you. Shonanou is not gonna have time for you. Tommy Fuji.
Oh yeah.
He has to be hungry for this.
Oh yeah.
Because he got humiliated his first time up.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
It's gonna be rough.
Bad day. So Hokuseiho, Megashira 11 East 8-7. I feel like we saw a lot at Hokuseiho this tournament. I feel like personally, I figured out a lot more about him.
Yes, than last tournament.
Last tournament, there was so many nerves. There was a lot going on. Very, very exciting. You had Bushozan coming up and then went back down. You had Kinbozan, who's the hotness. All the pressure. Like we had mentioned this coming in, that nobody's paying attention to Hokuseiho anymore, so now he gets to fight his own sumo. And we finally saw his sumo. We get to shine in its brilliance. And I was like a lot of people. There was conversations during the live chats about how, like, Hokuseiho was very weird, not sumo fighting. I was tricked by it too.
They called it almost like his Tachi was always a henka.
Yeah, it was a weird. It was also what would happen. There's a couple of matches, particularly earlier on, where he would just he'd get the top of the belt, like he'd do the overarm, and then he would just stand there and lean. And it was this weird, like, are you actually gonna fight, or are you just gonna like stand around and wait for the other guy to get tired? And it was a weird, like, not sumo thing, but it was hiding some of the most beautiful defensive sumo I think I've seen in a while out of a new person. Mm-hmm. The which match? I have it written down. Meisei. Check out this one right here. So this is before the Abi Henka. This is the Meisei who doesn't want to deal with it.
Right. This actually threw off his game a little bit.
The amount of defensive masterclass moves he did. Like, there was 6 or 7 defenses at the edge. And this is a Meisei putting the pace on, Hokuseiho's matching pace, staying defensive, staying at his pace, and then reversing it. Mm-hmm. I saw this match here. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I actually thought I was shocked how the rest of the tournament went.
Well, they threw him the wolves.
Of course. And I guess I got a little too hyped thinking he's so big, he's going to fight these guys.
Yeah,
but
again,
nah.
So most importantly is that Hoshoryu and Kiribayama had him figured out.
They did.
So they're just like, oh, that's your neat trick, is it?
Right. They're technique guys.
They dismantled him.
Yeah.
And then we got against Oho, who's just weird.
Oho's weird.
Oho, well, I have a thing. I have a bit for him. But so these 4 losses here sort of took. I feel like it took some of the wind out of his sails, because to lose to Kageyaki on the last day meant that he was just winded.
Yeah, he was just burned out.
He was burned out.
Although it was interesting to see him and Kageyaki engage, because Kageyaki's the other tall guy.
Yep.
So it's nice to see somebody his height go at it.
Yep.
But I was like, Kageyaki, oh boy, Hokuseiho, you need to hit the showers.
So this may be something. This is what we were talking about before, about how for sumo wrestlers it's 15 consecutive car crashes.
Yeah.
Some of that's still getting figured out here. Definitely getting figured out for Kinbozan up top.
Oh yeah.
So some of this this stretch here, this 8-2 stretch, very promising for his future. And I ate my batch of humble pie, thinking I was like, it's Hokuseiho guy, whatever. And then he just does some of the best sumo I've seen. And so, yeah, the momentum shifted away from him, but I feel like he proved what he needed to prove.
The fact that this man can literally just reach over your shoulder and grab your mawashi, it's so bizarre to watch.
It's like reaching over and just grabbing a bag of groceries on the counter. He just reaches over and just picks it up effortlessly.
Every time he does it, my mind is just completely blown.
Baffling. How long are his arms?
And then you see these guys wasn't one of the defeats a Soto Gake? Was that Hoshoryu who did it, or was it Kiribayama?
Kiribayama tripped him up.
You're watching, it almost seems like these wrestlers are the length of his leg.
Uh-huh. Oh,
and
yeah.
when you're seeing them lift him,
yeah, because
your mind cannot fathom what you were watching when you're watching a Hokuseiho match.
Tall. So this is going to be fun to see this.
Yeah,
progress.
If he tightens up, Hakuho had said before his first tournament, he has some challenges with being so tall. He is having some trying to figure it out moments. So he's got the right coach to help him out.
He does. Well, Miyagino Oyakata is going to do some wonders for anybody under his tutelage.
Of course. And he's going to say,
yeah.
You know what'll solve this? Train more. If you guys ever watch the crazy Enho Ishiura training, it's like, I wonder if Hakuho is that brutal now that would he put those guys through that day.
Here's a 50-pound duffel bag of sand. Go nuts.
And as you're screaming in agony, I'm going to make fun of you and then kick you. He was a brutal man back in the day. I think he's been a little bit easier.
Well, now that he's the coach rather than the yokozuna, I feel like some of the teeth have to be put away a little bit. But
yeah, he actually said that in his interview. I don't know if you heard on the live stream. He did a face-to-face.
Yes.
So it was 50 minutes. And he was like, I used to train 3 times harder than my guys currently do. But I've learned that I need to be softer.
Yeah. He'd mentioned just like people these days, they need more breaks, they need more rest. So I'm starting to build some breaks in. That was a fascinating video. I hope it's still up on the video on demand for NHK.
I think it's up for. They usually put those up for a couple of months.
A little while, but yeah.
But yeah, that was fascinating to see him.
It would be a good video for anybody who hasn't seen it to deal with the sumo drought about to hit you guys.
Yeah. That's a great one.
It was more about training in general.
Yes.
And about sort of introducing people to the way that the stables are run. Mm-hmm. But then also just within the filter of Hakuho.
We got to figure that his guys are probably training. Maybe they're not training as much as him, but they're probably training more than everybody else.
Probably.
I mean, how can Hakuho pull back that much?
Well, he's going to put the pace on you regardless. It's just he's going to,
I just wonder what that conversation with Hokuseiho is when he comes back like, you did adequate.
Yeah. Well, 8 and 7 is still Kachikoshi in the top division.
It is. He might have a soft spot now.
A little bit.
We'll see.
Until OGI shows up.
Yeah, I know, right?
then he's
going to be like, I've forgotten about you.
Then it's Marsha.
Anyway. Boy.
So, Hokuseiho, more to come. I'm excited.
Yes.
So, Daieisho, Mega Share 11 West 6 and 9. So, this is a guy that if he can do it his way, he's going to do great. If he can't get it his way, or if he can't beat you his way, he has no idea what to do. It's a
deer in headlights.
Deer in the headlights. This is not a fair analogy to Daieisho, but like I'm reminded of like the archetype in stories of like the schoolyard bully. That the schoolyard, he'll come up to you, they'll shove you, he'll grab you, he'll push you around, and if you shy away from him, or if you like try to run away for help, he's gonna win. But like if you stand up to him, he's just like, I'm not afraid of any big old bully. Like the schoolyard bully is just like,
right?
What do I do?
Just flick him in the nose.
Flick him in the nose, and he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
So like he is an expert at smothering with his body, with his power. He's really good at that. But every single time somebody doesn't care about it,
then he's not going to
win. And so like the my brand of sumo is always the joke. I want to try to fight my brand of sumo. Like Daieisho has to fight.
Yeah, that's the game.
That's his game. He doesn't have a plan B. His plan B is not to lose plan A.
Right.
So that being said, if he can figure out a plan B, then maybe he can survive the reckoning about to hit him.
Yeah,
when he tumbles down to about right here, and then he's gonna be in the reverse meat grinder. Mm-hmm. I'm worried for him too.
He's probably. It's looking like he will be Juryo bound after July.
Maybe,
unless he turns it around.
He has it. So he has the raw talent that something can get built out. I'm afraid he doesn't have the time to figure something out. Because it is fun, like to watch him just like suffocate a man in front of him. Like he just gets up in front of them, and then they're like,
I can't move my arms.
I'm stuck. It is like he's like a spider almost. Like it gets people in their web. It's a different brand of Yotsu grab sumo than most people have because it's just it feels so oppressive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose that, but I have a feeling I might.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough for him.
Brutal. So more brutal. Aoyama 5 and 10, Megashira 12 East. There's a very real chance he's gone to Juryo next tournament.
Yeah.
Now he did win on the last day, and they do like that. If he was 4 and 11, I feel like it'd be a nail in the coffin. So with the 5 and 10, it becomes a matter of whether Bushozan's 10 and 5 is stronger than his 5 and 10.
True.
So that's Aoyama is holding on by a thread, and like all these other pusher thrusters, he's losing his power, which means that all he has are the veteran tricks.
And he doesn't have Tochinoshin anymore to spar with.
Yeah,
so and that there's some more of that whole catching retirement thing that I think about. Is like Kaisei's gone, Tochinoshin's gone. Now Kaisei wasn't in their ring, but they're all contemporaries. Uh-huh. Is Aoyama like? I don't know. Well, he's got his Japanese citizenship now.
He is. I will say he is trying every day.
Yeah,
he's scraping the bottom of that barrel. He is desperately trying. The pushes, even I think it was Hiradoumi when he fought him. Like he slapped the crap out of Hiradoumi, but Hiradoumi was just too strong.
Yeah,
couldn't deal with him, but he tried. You heard that?
Yeah,
you always hear that.
That's how you know he's
That's how you know it's him.
Zone.
That's why I fell in love with the man. But it's like there's like nothing left. him and Takarafuji have a similar problem in that Takarafuji, like, but the thing is that, like, for Takarafuji, like, he picks his days.
Yeah.
Aoyama doesn't have days to pick.
Right.
It's just
like
all a scramble.
Every day is I'm going to put out what I can and we'll see what happens.
So this is his problem, unfortunately. And so, like, this may be it the last time I see him in the top division.
Oh, man. When Tochinoshi went down, that was it for us.
Might be it. But for now, we're not going to know until the Banzuke comes out. Because if there's going to be a number 5 for Bushozan, he's it.
Yeah.
It's him.
Yeah.
Because he's the lowest and he's the worst score.
Mm-hmm.
So, buddy, I'm praying for you. I don't know what. And then it's just like, what are you going to do in July, buddy?
Right.
I don't know.
If you're having a hard time with the guys down here who are all struggling, how are you going to handle the new guys?
Yeah.
That have like twice the energy you have.
It's like when you're watching a sunset and there's that moment that the sun's gone, but there's still like a little bit of light out.
Like an outline.
A little outline of the light. The light hasn't faded from the sky.
And you're like, please don't go.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh, then it's going to get cold and the mosquitoes come out and I have to go inside.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we're at.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at, guys. Hurts me.
It's getting harder and harder, John.
Man. All right. But, hey, let's turn it around. Megashira 12 West. Koto Echo 8 and 7 gets it on the last day. Koto Echo is starting to build that brand.
Yes.
So we had mentioned before about how Daieisho is his brand of sumo kind of guy. You think Koto Echo would be like the perfect kind of bully. But Koto Echo is the guy who stands up to the bully. Just like, I'm not afraid of you.
Always.
Gets him. Midorifuji, huge guy, twice his size. I'm just going to throw him.
Right. Shows you how much power he actually has.
Power he has. I am going to bring this up. I said I wasn't going to, but I am.
Oh.
He got robbed.
Robbed.
It ended up fine because he got the 8 and 7 anyway, and like this wasn't what made him get a 7 and 8. But buddy, you just handed Asanoyama that win.
Yeah,
you guys.
That made everybody salty.
In a tournament where there were matches not as close as this that got a Tori Naoshi, and I'm just like, you know what? It's close enough.
Yeah.
They should have given him the second chance. They should have let him fight for that loss instead of just handing it to Asanoyama.
Right, and especially because like Kotonowaka won. I don't think it was actually even a tie. So
Bad taste.
I guess they're trying to make it up to Asanoyama since they made the poor man sit out for 2 years. But it was at Kotowako's expense.
A little bit. So he's still.
Sometimes you got to look away, man.
Well, again, he got the 8 and 7, so I'm like, you know what? He's still going upwards. Maybe they give Kotonowaka a little bit of a boost.
They have a lot to keep track of how much like stuff went on that requires little bonuses for guys.
I hope they have a list going.
I hope so.
They have a tally. But now there are some of his losses that were legit where he just got blasted out. Like particularly noticeable when he fought Kageyaki. Kageyaki just ran him out. It's like Kageyaki had to go to the bathroom. He's like, I can't deal with you right now. Push. So that is still Kotowako's weakness. You got to work on. It's that Tachiai because he'll lose in that half second. But if you don't get him out in that half second, boy, you're gonna be in for a fight. Also, they threw him Kinbozan. He won that.
Yeah,
this was impressive because he had to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Up.
Yeah, you could see where the training helps you with that. You know, the pushing under the arms.
So this is a lot like Hokuseiho's 8 and 7. It's a lot like Onosho's 8 and 7. That we're like, ooh, we're seeing something here. We don't have the record to show for it. The record got to be able to clamp down, but
there's potential here.
There's a lot of people that have to carry momentum 2 months into the hot and sweaty July.
And it will help them, though, to have the young guys coming up. It will help them to have the top guy at the top. Yeah. So you can get a little mediocre when things are chaotic all the time.
Yeah. So this is also like where I go to everybody and be like, what are you going to do against Ochiai? I look at this match, I'm like, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Like that could actually be
I don't know if Kotowako's going to win it, but if Ochiai is ever going to be looking past somebody,
it might surprise him, though.
I think about these matchups. I'm like, Kotonowaka is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I could see him losing to Kotonowaka.
You can. Ochiai comes up. This is his day one fight. He's got the nerves. Ochiai's already thinking, I'm gonna be Yokozuna. Doesn't really give Kotonowaka the respect he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the top division, dirt.
Yeah, the truth is for Ochi, no matter how good he is, he still hasn't been tested in the upper division.
Saying it'll be fun. It'll be good.
Yes.
More Kotonowaka. More in this direction.
We just
upwards.
sprinkle Ochi throughout the entire 42 opinions. It's even infecting us.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he just shows up everywhere, and so he shows up everywhere.
That's gonna be the reality of it.
Yeah.
And also that's the narrative they're pushing. So
right, and we've absorbed it.
Yeah, we're much a part of it.
We're buying it because it looks
very
possible.
We're rejecting some narratives here, but we'll talk about that.
Know.
We'll talk about it a little bit. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, Chiyoshoma, Megashira 13 East, 8 and 7. So he's another guy who got 2 losses that he didn't need out of Asaniyama and Hokuseiho. Also had to deal with the crazy rampaging Tsurugisho. And so if you take those away, then that's an 11 and 4.
Right. So
and the way Chiyoshoma was fighting, I'd give him 11 and 4.
He did have his flying Hanka come back.
He did.
But that's okay.
He did get the nerves coming, and like you can tell that he was a little desperate. But then he got it at the end. Like
he understood the situation.
He did.
He understood like the matches wins are going to get harder and harder to come by down here.
Mm-hmm. He relapsed once in like 3 tournaments. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. He gets pass. I mean, he always got the pass, but I didn't bring it up in the notes. I'm just like,
whatever.
He's trying.
Oh, look at me, just trying to bring it out anyway.
There's no escaping the Henka, Maria.
Never.
There's never. It's our 10-year anniversary. Somebody's gonna Henka.
Of course.
Yokozuna Ochi Henkas. It's like. Put
Double
that in a
Henka.
time capsule, okay?
I'm
10
putting
years
that.
from now, Ochi is Yokozuna and he Henkas somebody.
Oh, I am putting that in the time capsule.
Put that in a time capsule. If I get that one right, like at that point, I'll be like, I'm done. I don't know.
We're going to just say that you could predict the future.
It just needs to be so far in ahead that it has no bearing on basis of fact.
We have no idea what.
It needs to be a wild Babe Ruth point, or else it doesn't count.
I guess that's really how it works. You just have to say the craziest, most outrageous stuff, and then they will happen.
That's it. Well, again, good news to see the movement in the correct direction, particularly just close to the blades of Juryo.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Ichinojo, we'll get this out of the way.
Yeah.
He retired for the tournament, but after the Banzuke came out, nothing's come out in terms of what he's doing. You had mentioned that he's probably going back to Mongolia. He's just going to peace out entirely.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of... You can never verify comments if you don't speak Japanese, but I've seen a lot of comments that said he did his press conference and he got on a plane, went back to Mongolia, already had some stuff lined up, whatever that is, and that we're never going to hear from him again.
Yeah. So if there is anything that's going to come out, typically they like to wait for these kinds of things until after the tournament's over.
And they may even wait till after Kakeryu's retirement ceremony.
Yeah. So I see news coming back around for Ichinojo.
Yeah, there's going to be dribs and drabs.
If we get anything. Or it's just going to just sink into the abyssal depths. I
mean, they might not want it to be discussed.
Yeah. So it's either we're going to hear some, oh, yeah, he's doing this thing over here. And, in that, like, every once in a while you hear about Harumafuji going on and you'll be like, oh, yeah, he was the Yokozuna. He was a good guy. He's doing this thing
But they've
over
sort
there.
of, like, let him disappear into obscurity.
Yeah, but, yeah. We'll see where this goes with Ichinojo. Because they may do one of those, oh, yeah, he's over here, he's doing this thing, it's real nice, and so glad to see that he landed.
But there's just such...
Or it's a clean break.
Like, pretend we never knew him.
Yep.
There's so much bitterness out there just in the comments that...
Yeah.
This is a bad breakup, friends.
Bad breakup. When was the last time you heard Takanoya was the name?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, this is a really bad breakup. It's sad for everybody involved, and we'll miss him. I would love to have seen him fight Hokuseiho. I wanted that match so bad.
Off a 14-1 Juryo win. Welcome to sumo.
Yeah,
that's all we can say.
The things you can count on for sumo.
0.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about everyone's favorite golden child. Asaniyama, 12-3, 14 East. I feel like we learned what we already knew, which is that he does not belong down here, and he needs to get up where the real fights are as soon as possible. His only losses were to other people who belong at the top or are at the top, which is Hokuseiho, Daieisho, and Terunofuji. And as we mentioned before, he did beat Shodai, which was a fight he could have lost, and he did beat Meisei, but that was after the Abi Henka mess. And all these other people don't count.
Right, because he doesn't belong down there.
So yeah, this whole thing, like if you lose to Aoyama, can you imagine if you lost to Aoyama? I can't imagine it. It would be a disaster. So this is, for us, it was, does he still have it? How's he going to do now that he's back in the spotlight? And how quickly can we get him to where he's supposed to be? And the answer is, he looks the way he was before. He's kicking ass, and in July, he's going to get his due diligence.
It's funny, though, because this is like the absolute worst timing, because for the last, 6 or 7 tournaments, a 12-3 wins the tournament.
That is true. He
came back at the wrong time.
That is a very good point that I didn't think of, that if that was a 12-3 back in the struggle bus, he would have been in the playoffs.
He would have been in the playoffs and or winning the Yusho, and everybody would have said, he's going to be Ozeki tomorrow.
Yeah.
But instead, Terunofuji comes back, embarrasses him.
Oh my God, that's
and
rough.
He's so far down that, like, people are excited, but it's tempered.
It was fun to see him.
It was great to see him back.
It was great to see him back. Yeah, well, we give Asayama a hard time only because we feel like somebody has to counterbalance this.
Right, he needs a serious positive push.
Yeah, it is. I am, like, again, I see this, to an extension, this, and this as, okay, he's really got it. Like, these last 5 matches here, this 3-2, I'll call it, that was the, okay, this guy.
You need to step it up.
Well, still a 3-2, but also proof that he's going to come swinging. And
yeah, but like if he's got to do some things because he can beat Terunofuji, I think.
Yeah.
Although before he got sent down, he had no luck against Terunofuji.
He also did get himself. Did I write down? He had some when he fought Meisei, not only was it a good fight, but that was a wild reversal.
Yeah.
This was good sumo on display. I think when he fought Ryuden, he had a crazy reversal as well. But again, it's like, you do not lose against Ryuden.
Right, you can't lose that match.
You can't lose that
almost
match.
Being in a situation where you have to do a reversal is a little...
Well, it's in a weird spot because he in a way, he's still waiting.
And he's got to get his nerves out because he doesn't belong here. And so there is a little bit of I can't lose instead of I'm going to win.
Yes.
So when he gets put back in his proper place, we can really assess.
So keep in mind that this is about where Kinbozan was when he got his bump up, and they put him all the way up to Megashira 5.
So he's going to get at least
I am
that.
expecting him to be back in the blender come July.
Yeah,
which is good news for everybody because somebody named Hoshoryu wants to win the Yusho, and a certain somebody named Asayama would have a great time putting him in his place.
Yeah.
Isn't that even more exciting?
Oh, yeah. And then what's cool is because he got to fight Terunofuji this time, then he gets promoted up. He'll get to fight him again.
Oh, that fight's going to happen the first week.
Yeah.
Instead of near the end. Like, that's going to be like day 4 for him. So.
Right. So, I mean, we just have to have tempered expectations.
Yeah. So it's a weird he's back, but he's not.
Yeah. It's like the first day of school.
In a way, yeah. Yeah,
it's like, I know you're going to ace all the tests at the end of the day, but you had a rough first day in terms of you're still feeling your way through.
Yeah. So, step 1 of his reported return to Ozeki.
Yes.
Looking forward to more. Myogiryu. Megashira 14 West 9-6. So here's the thing. It's so hot and cold. It's so weird and streaky down here. You have people that are desperately struggling. You have people that are surging ahead. You have people that are held together with duct tape and good intentions. And Myogiryu is average. But in a world of crazy, average is really good.
Right, and what's even weirder, though, is he has the same record as Sudagisho, but Sudagisho had a better tournament.
Yeah.
So, like, that's exactly what you say. It's weird.
It's weird. But, so, like, it's the calm veteran sumo. I feel like Myogiryu did nothing different.
Yeah,
he showed up.
He just showed up.
He showed up. He fought his good sumo.
Yep.
Nice mix of offense and defense and shoves and belts. He had his good days. He had his bad days. Like, he showed, like, for him, May was just a regular tournament. and for everybody else, it was a complete bonkers madness. Mm-hmm. And so it's this weird sensation. Like we had said this before when he was falling. It's not like he's doing worse. It's that everybody else around him is doing better. And this time around, now everybody else is struggling. Everybody else has their weird issues. And he's just like, I'm the same.
Right, he's the steady pillar.
He's so sturdy.
It's got to be that Saitama Sakai energy.
It is.
It's never lose.
I heard Ross Mihara says he doesn't like being called a veteran.
Oh, he said that? So that
Ross
means...
Mihara's in on the joke, too.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just like, don't call him a veteran. I'm just like, ah.
So this is now catching. This is a thing.
It's a thing.
Oh, I love it.
I also love Ross Mihara.
I love Ross Mihara, too. He deadpans.
Oh, my God.
Brutal.
So
brutal statements.
You have John Gunning and Murray Johnson, who just are Statler and Waldorfing everything. He's just in the back, just no faking. The dry humor just fires it off.
He's like a British man.
He is just as brutal as those other guys, but he says it with like such a straightforward like newscaster voice, like yeah.
Don't call Myogi to a veteran.
It's the knife in the dark, man. It's so good.
Yeah, I love him.
And then Raja and Hiro Morita are towing the party line. They're being very nice.
But then they're hype guys.
Which God bless them. None of this needs to change.
No, everybody should be exactly as they are.
And also, like, when Raja or Hiro turn on somebody, you're just like, oh, they're bad.
Yeah, Hiro can get pretty...
Hiro can, he'd be like, oh, yeah, he'd be just like, not the kind of sumo that we really want to see here. I'm just like, ooh.
Well, like the time that Takakeisho Hanka Hokutofuji, he was really savage against it. Like, that's not Ozeki sumo.
I know. Like, when you get the nice guys in class to start throwing your hand, you're like, oh, you've done it now.
But what's funny is, quick side note on that, Hiro was extra amped for some of these matches.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he was into it when Asaniyama reversed on Meisei.
Yeah, he was. You could hear him like.
You can hear it. Yeah.
He was so extra hype. It was like exciting.
So much energy going out there. May had so much energy.
It did, and part of that is the crowd coming back, and they had the cameras back in the dressing rooms again.
This was like one of the
return to normal.
We're back, guys. We're back.
We need that hype.
And Miyagiri was back to doing exactly what he did, which is just fine today.
Yeah, exactly.
He may need a little more. His average may not be good.
He could surprise some of the new guys.
Yeah, this is
He's got his pride. He's got his skill, his wit.
This is what this 9 and 6 is very nice. That's the difference between the 9 and the 6 and the 7.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
There is a big difference.
All right. So, time to start talking about people who are going to Juryo.
Farewell,
Ichi Yamamoto, 4-11 at 15 East. So, add another to the pile of somebody doing push sumo who doesn't have the strength.
Yeah, he's just a mess.
And this makes me sad. He was my favorite lower division person. But I felt like for the longest time, it was all rings. He has a really good ring sense that sort of able to
know where he is.
And I felt like that was getting him by. And now it's just like reality finally caught up to him. And the luck ran out and he couldn't push and then he couldn't do anything else. And now he's in Juryo. So this is what we call the Juryo penalty box.
Yeah.
In that you go into there, it's just like, you're not doing well. Stop cross-checking.
But you can come back.
But you can come back in 2 minutes if
you don't do anything like yell at the refs.
Exactly.
Or throw your stick into the crowd and get yourself
you're in the penalty box. And then when you go down to Juryo, it's either going to be you just pop back out. It's 2 minutes. Or you have some trouble. Maybe you cursed out the coach and now it's a 5-minute technical.
Yep. Or you get a game misconduct and you're out.
And now we're going to find out what's going to happen to Ichi Yamamoto and a couple of these other guys. And is it going to be 2 minutes? Is it going to be 5 minutes? Are you going back to the locker room? Have you been expelled?
Yeah, are you back there?
Back there? So, yeah.
Sitting on the steel chair that Avi's going to run back and grab and hit somebody with?
He goes back there. Ichiyama he's just like, can you be my stunt double real quick? I need to pull a fake on somebody.
Just as another side, I'll never forget when I was interning and a certain gentleman was kicked out. Name is Hiradoumi, got kicked out for being a thug, and he was sitting on that steel chair in the back, and he was so angry. He wasn't saying a word, and you could just feel this, like, if I could grab this chair and go back out there. And sometimes I picture these sumo guys like that, like, just let me back out there, man. I don't want to be in Juryo.
Yeah, well, penalty box for Ichiyamamoto, unfortunately. But here, the other crazy veteran surprise.
Crazy.
Tsurugisho, Megashira 15, West 9-6, and the only reason he has 6 losses is because they threw him to the wolves to get him under control.
Rightfully so.
Yes. So this is also where the Mirogiryu 9-6 and the Tsurugiso 9-6 do not tell you the whole story.
Not at all.
Yeah. They gave him Hoshoryu on day 14. They were scared of him.
They're like, we don't want you in the playoff conversation.
The amount of power, the fire in his heart. I've never seen this out of him before.
How great is it? Because who knows what his future holds, to see him get to fight the top guys.
Yeah. Look, this is a great moment for him. So also, like, when he fought Hiradoumi, I feel like if this wasn't this fired up Tsurugisho, he would have lost. He would have been
Absolutely.
outworked. When he fought, so this was a Mitakeumi in the second part of the week. Like
he was starting to try a
little bit more, and then he made Mitakeumi punch out. He would just pressured him, and Mitakeumi was just like, I guess not today. So both of these matches right here, if this wasn't the Tsurugisho that wasn't an absolute tear, he would have lost both of these.
Yeah.
This is a different man, and I love whatever this new person is.
Yeah, let's hope it's not a one-off.
Well, it's the same thing with Nishikigi. It's just like, I don't know how this happened. Is it just the perfect event? Did they wake up one day and they're like, we're going to do this? Is this the revival? Is this our latest veteran surge?
Right.
We're not going to know until July, but this is so much fun because particularly like right here, he's just 2-2, 3-3 right here. So you don't expect any of this to happen.
And it just happens.
He's still fighting well, but then he loses, and you're just like, okay, 3-3 Tsurugisho, about what I expect. And he goes on a run, and then you have to do something to stop him. It's so fun.
I know. Could you imagine if they just kept giving him like the middle guys who were struggling really hard?
It would have been 12-3.
I do like how they change it up. It's almost like the matches are just a living organism.
Oh yeah. Well, they only know today's matches and tomorrow's matches.
Right, and then they like get to calculate.
And then so then at the end of today's matches, they figure out the next day's matches.
It keeps sumo interesting.
It does.
I really like that part of it.
Yeah, it's dynamic. They don't just plan the whole 15 days and then fill it in as it goes. Like
they say, let's see who we can.
They have an eye on it.
And so you're almost like every day waiting with bated breath, like who's it going to be?
Yeah. I can't help but feel like the matchmakers, like they have to be doing this in real time because there's 500 something people.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's no way that they like sit down at the end and they're like, let's figure all this out.
Yeah, so how would they know Tsurugisho should face Hoshoryu?
Yeah, so like right here when he beats Mitakeumi, they're thinking, let's throw some Sanyaku at him. This is wild.
Yeah.
So it's well done, Tsurugisho. Bless you. So good. All right, back to the penalty box. Mitoryu, 5-10, Megashira 16 East. So he was doing well primarily because he was able to build offense. He was able to get aggressive. And all of his wins was getting aggressive. And all of his losses were when that didn't happen.
Yep.
So basically, if you had your chance for a brand of sumo Daieisho right here, you get a free win. Free win. So interestingly, he beats Tohakuryu from Juryo. He continues his trend of beating everybody in Juryo and then can't stay in top division.
Right. It's like he's too good for Juryo, but he can't hack it in the upper division.
Cannot hack it. I thought he fought somebody else. I guess not. It must have been Kageaki. Yeah, Kageaki fought Goniyama. I got my wires crossed. But yeah, Mitoryu's back down into the penalty box. Now, like Ichiyamamoto and like Kageaki, you have to figure out if is it 2 minutes, is it 5 minutes, or even thrown out.
Right.
And we're not going to know. And down in Juryo.
Yep.
Off you go. I want to see him. I want to see him start going on a tear because he's that jolly sumo.
Yes, bit. And we've been lacking the jolly sumo for some
we're
time.
Out of jolly. We're low on jolly. All right, so going back to what the hell's going on. Oho, 11-4, same rank as Kiribayama, same score. Megashira 16 West. So right here, he's 1-3. No, to be fair, he fought against Shonaonoumi, who we were just mentioning is part of that tornado.
Yep.
He fights Asaniyama, who has no business being down here. Though I was really hoping he'd beat Asaniyama again, but Asaniyama just embarrassed him.
Yeah, he's like, no, we're not doing this again.
And then he loses to Mitoryu, but there's the weird rock, paper, scissors thing. There are some wrestlers that just cannot beat. Daieisho and Takakeisho is an example of that. There's just something about the other wrestler that they can't figure out.
They just can't figure it out,
And Mitoryu will always beat Oho.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
Yeah.
So right here, we're 1-3.
That's starting to be the case with Ochiai and Gonoyama, actually.
Yep, it's the same deal. It's just the matchup always goes the same way, no matter what happens. Then he figures it out. And then he gets this random one loss to Kotonowaka, and then the rest of it is just a breeze.
And when we were doing the live stream, there was almost this thought of like, is Oho going to collapse again before he gets his Kachikoshi?
Yeah.
And it was up for an actual discussion, like, it could happen to him, and then all of a sudden he's just winning out, and I'm like, well, I didn't expect that.
I did not expect a win.
I expected an 8-6.
He didn't. You're just like, oh, he'll be losing one day, and you're like, he's not losing. He beats Hokuseiho. He beats Midorifuji. What's going on?
He's got sort of. There's the essence of Mitakeumi in that he can't turn it on all the time, but when he turns it on for several days in a row.
My completely unfair and ludicrous analogy. You have those like those early morning young kid Disney Plus princess cartoons where the princess has all the power, all the friends, all the magic, and it's really she just needs to believe in herself. Oho is a magic Disney princess. That's what's going on. The only thing he needs is to wake up and look at the mirror and be like, you can beat anybody.
Right. Yeah,
That's what it is.
It's bizarre to watch Oho.
It's like, and what's almost more frustrating about this is that he's done this before. He's
gonna go up decently. I mean, they might not be as generous because of what happened last time, but he's 11-4 at Maegashira 16. He's gonna have a pretty good jump.
He's got a nice build up.
But then it's like, are you gonna collapse again?
We don't know. The ability for him to figure it out and then regress is baffling. It's just like. It feels like it clicks and then it unclicks and then he's back to square one.
Yeah.
And he's stuck in that loop. And so I, for one, am hoping that the calm, quiet confidence means that he's back.
He's still pretty young, isn't he?
He's super young.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can give him more of a pass than some of these other guys that are pushing 30. You know?
So this could be just like a variant on youth. Like this could be more of the Hoshoryu falter start, and then he finally takes off. But
I hope so.
This is the second or third time. It's like, oh, this is it. He's got it.
Yeah.
And then, so now July is are you gonna hold it?
Right. Are you gonna do something, man?
Do something with this man. I mean, will be interesting to see where they do put him.
Yeah. Like how much confidence are they gonna?
Yeah. How much of a challenge are they gonna throw his way? We're gonna find that out. But for the time being, seeing him. Like, cause he has a sixth sense. Like it's like this. It's like the doho is like a part of his body. He's able to read it so well, and so like he moves forward, he moves backwards, like grace. It's just like I know where everything is, and then he combines it with his natural size,
right?
And you're like, oh, you're special,
yeah.
And then
That's why there was hype.
This is where the hype is. This kind of sumo. So in July, if we get another one of these, maybe we can start talking about.
Right, he's got to put two together at least.
It's two. I feel like we've been burned too many times.
It's amazing how many times these hot shots can't put two together.
They're just stuck in the mud, and then they run out of the
mud.
mud.
It's like the Katabone game, you know. Win, lose, win, lose.
It's stuck. It's just, we'll see. Hopeful for Oho, but I'm not going to bet any money on it because I've been losing money on this bet.
This is a true statement. This is a true statement.
Oho, please. I want you to be Sanyaku. I want it. Let me have it. Let me have it.
Give us something, man.
Give it to us. All right. So, penalty box number 3. Kageyaki 7-8, Maegashira 17 East. Another, stop me if you've heard this one before, pusher thruster that is not able to get the power generated and then doesn't have a good enough plan B.
Yep.
Again, all of them.
Yeah, it's like every single guy.
Every single one. The power is gone.
What a scary way to live and die by the sword, huh?
It's so, yeah, and so it's almost unfortunate because if he was just one rung higher, he might have been able to scrape by. Particularly because these two last wins, against Oshoma, also nice, and against Gono. Oh no, he loses Gonoyama. Never mind. So, like when you have Makakoshi, but then keep winning. It's a good, it's a positive sign, and he's
usually
7 and 8.
You get rewarded for it.
7 and 8 means he's holding on. He's just holding on, but he's the absolute bottom rank. Last tournament, they're like, we're going to leave you in, but you have to prove it.
Yeah, they're not going to do that this time.
There's nothing to prove.
They got guys that need to come up.
We've got to make room. So, unfortunately, Kageyaki is also back in the penalty box.
He might be back soon, but I don't know.
Well, it's like everyone else. Is it 2 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Or is he ejected? And we're not going to know. It's up to him. Whew. All right, so special prizes. There were 3 special prizes for outstanding performance, as we mentioned. Meisei gets the Shukun Show. There was 2 technique prizes. That was Kiribayama and Wakamotoharu.
I was a little surprised they gave it to Wakamotoharu, though I thought he deserved it. But usually they do some conditions, and he wasn't doing so good at the end, but they just straight up gave all 3 of these guys with no conditions.
All 3 of them were unconditional. I feel for Kiribayama, that was the Ozeki prize.
Yeah, that's the Ozeki prize.
And then for Wakamotoharu, it was the Uchari, heard around the world.
Exactly. Like, if you don't get the technique prize from using that, then I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. So I would say all well-deserved.
Yes. I say it glad but surprised because they've been very stingy with these.
You have been. They've been doing a lot of dangling, as you had said, the contingent rewards.
Maybe they were just in a good mood this tournament.
I'm in a good mood after this tournament. I can relate. All right. So Juryo, as we had mentioned. So first off, we'll get the sad out of the way first. Tochinoshin has retired.
So sad.
I think you must have mentioned it during the live streams, but
I did, but I don't know.
So this is
how much.
This is the big Juryo news as far as we're concerned.
Yes. As far as the whole world in a lot of ways, Tochinoshin brought the whole international audience into sumo.
Tochinoshin we're not going to have another Tochinoshin for a while.
No.
If ever.
No.
This is rough.
Is that the injury? Is that the eye socket, or does he have a new injury?
I don't know what it is, but I hope he stays in Juryo.
Poor Enho.
I feel like he's going to be at the very, very, very bottom rung.
And Ishiura, he's done for, but he's not retiring.
Well, he's still out of it. I think he just continues to free fall.
Yeah, I think he just cannot fight anymore, but he's not retiring. That's what the speculation is. Just so that he can stay in the stable.
Well,
he's got a serious neck injury. So, I mean, things are not looking good in the old Miyagi-No.
Yeah. So, scrolling down a little bit. Tomokaze 8-7. He's
inching.
Struggling a little bit still, but our boy's coming back soon. But now we're going to be talking about the big question. So,
yes.
Konoyama with the Yusho and Juryo 1 East. If he was 8-7, he'd be up. This is actually could have an interesting ramification of propelling him.
Right, how far up?
How far up does this get you? Basically on the doorstep of the top division, and then he gets a Juryo Yusho with a 14-1.
Right, and we have all these guys in the middle who just super underperformed.
Expect this to maybe do something absolutely wild.
That would be amazing.
I'm just like a 9 or a 10.
That'd be crazy.
If they want to, it's here.
Yeah.
Shonanaumi.
Obviously going up.
Shooing up. Double digits on Megashiro or on Juryo 1. You're in. So this is the big question mark. Double digit to Juryo 3 would normally get it to you. But we've already got 4 really strong contenders.
Yep.
And there's 4 available slots that are obvious.
Yeah.
So then this is the Aoyama pivot.
True.
Or you tell Bushozan to sit right here and try it again, which is a little rough for a 10-5.
But they don't have a problem doing rough stuff.
No. So this is...
Because Bushozan has been up before and lost it.
Yes.
So if they want to say, look, it's not good enough because there's other guys we want, I could see them doing it.
So this is I can see it both ways. I can see them saying, we're already pulling up 4 people, and they all did better than him, and we want to make sure that he earns that jump up. Or they can say double digits at 3 East plus a super fading Aoyama means we're going to have 5 people, and that'll be a wild thing in itself.
Well, just having Ichinojo retired opens up that one spot.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So this is the pivot. We're not gonna know this until the Banzuke comes out.
Right, it's gonna be a wild Banzuke for sure.
And then here's where this gets interesting, because these guys are Juryo 8.
Yeah. Which
is halfway down, but with Yusho equivalent, which is basically a shoo-in, and then almost like a 13-2 could get you a Yusho in most tournaments.
Yeah.
So I feel like these 2 guys are going up. Now, what they could do is give it to Bushozan and then bench Atamifuji.
Which they might do because he lost to Ochiai.
And, as you were mentioning before with Bushozan, he had his shot at the top division and then got benched.
Right.
Because he couldn't hack it. So there could be 4 people go up and 1 person has to sit and think about it. There could be they all go up and Aoyama goes down. But I feel like Ochiai, Gonoyama, Shonanoumi, and then one of those other 2 are in.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of which of the other 2. And that's going to be fascinating.
Right. It is going to be fascinating because I feel like they're going to be very generous this tournament. But in that generosity would require Aoyama to not get generosity.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you balance that? And I could see them maybe sitting Atamifuji at Juryo 1.
Somebody's going to be at Juryo 1. One of those. It's either going to be Atamifuji, or it's going to be Bushozan, or it's going to be Aoyama. So it's just like, which of those 3 wrestlers is Juryo 1 East?
Right.
That's
and
it.
Whoever it is, it's going to be punishing for them.
Yes.
So, oh boy, the future of sumo is looking good. I mean, that
So
here we had Terunofuji wrap it up on day 14, but we still had a playoff to look forward to on day 15, and it was a spectacular match. I mean,
wild.
The power that was being output was
after
staggering for Juryo.
That was also after Gonoyama almost had it taken out from the rug pulled. Oh man, the amount of staggering in that match for him. But anyway, here's how this works. I feel like this was the giving Basho.
It was the giving.
Some injury, some sadness, but that's always the case. But a very clean numbers.
Kept our Ozeki. Get a new Ozeki.
Terunofuji, really strong Sanyaku. A lot of things that we were looking for. And then July is going to be the heartbreak.
It's going to be a machete through wheat.
It is going to be pain and blood and
it's going to be the painful Basho. I completely agree with you. There's going to be hearts broken, dreams dashed, injuries that we don't even want to think about.
It will be brutal in all the ways we like and all the ways we don't.
Yeah, I agree.
And enjoy the warm, happy, fuzzy feelings of May.
Make some cookies.
Yep. Enjoy the weather, and then come July, it is pain.
Yeah.
It is pain.
So enjoy the off season, and we will try to put up at least a video in the in-between. We're trying lots of different things just to see what sticks. So I expect there'll be some sort of video or some sort of live stream in June. Not sure which one it's going to be yet. And then we'll get back to regular type life in July, regular live streams, and our recap and our preview show.
Yep. That was May. What a great, brilliant, good time. I feel like I need to lie down now.
Yeah, I need a cookie.
Oh, man.
A really warm, melty chocolate chip cookie is what I want right now.
I think that's what we all deserve.
We do.
If you were all fans of big, melty, fresh chocolate chip cookies, now's a good time to have one. If you don't like them, or maybe chocolate chip cookies don't agree with you, have a snack of your choice.
Yes.
And a reward for a basho well done.
We all deserve a reward.
That's all we have for today. Thank you as always for listening in, for hanging out with us. As Maria said, we'll be back with some stuff in the off season, but then the preview show will be for July.
Enjoy.